Welcome to another episode of Pod Practice. We are excited to have our guest on today, Joe White. Feel free to follow us at podpractice_pod at YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, Pod Practice on Spotify, and email us any questions you want answered on the pod at show@podpracticepod.com.
Let's go. Very good.
Woo!
All right. We are.
Oh my God.
We are your hosts. I'm Coach Mike. This is Alex Atkins and Quinn Feiner. Today, we are joined by a multi-time all-club first-team player, former college national champion, and former U24 standout, Joe White. And I'm curious to know who is the best offensive player on this pod at some point tonight. Welcome to the pod, Joe.
It's definitely not.
Hang on.
But,
Thank you.
All righty.
that was a spicy way to start the pod. Like,
that
you
was.
definitely
Yeah,
didn't
that's
tell
pretty
any of us
good.
You were going to
That's
say
good.
that. Just pit us all against each other. Right.
Ultiworld thinks it's Joe, but it's up for debate.
Yeah, I mean, Alex is just like the straight version of me. And I'm like the gay version of
I
him.
was thinking about that
Yeah,
today.
so-
Like, I honestly
Yeah.
feel like very similar play styles, player
Yeah,
builds, player molds.
Like, if I had some more like
Yeah,
jock energy.
Joe's a little more athletic than you, Kins.
Yeah. Well, I would love to know who's the best
Okay.
athlete on this
Okay.
pod. Too.
Okay. I think like Quinn, you're just closer to me, so you know like that.
That Joe's
I
more athletic.
don't test well. It's just like, but if you ask other people, like I bet Joe thinks I'm athletic.
Well, you could ask him.
Joe, do you think I'm
Like-
athletic?
Yeah, I think you're athletic, Alex.
Right.
We're you and I are different kinds of athletes. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean.
You're like I've got way more like fast feet, small space than you.
Oh,
Like, you're
small
like-
space.
Yeah,
I mean, you're definitely faster
absolutely.
than Atkins.
You're definitely faster and quicker than Atkins. So
I am losing my mind over here.
Alex has like
already.
some crazy big guy body control.
He's
that I
got.
That's
yeah,
true. That's
it's
true.
The Euro step.
Yeah.
He's-
And like for as quick as I am in the small space, Alex does just as well as me in the small space.
I would say-
so
I mean, I think
it doesn't really matter.
that's the thing is like on defense at this level, like it's very hard for any of us to guard another one of these people
true
in a
Yeah.
small space. Like
Yeah.
no one, like maybe we're taking away like a cut, but like at a certain point,
And that's a
like,
win.
We're gonna
If
get
you make
the
them
ball
make
at
one
some
move,
point.
it's a
That-
win.
It's
Yeah.
a win
Like-
for sure, but we're gonna get the ball. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'll take all the athleticism slander that's gonna be thrown at me for the rest of my life.
People are gonna figure you out. This
Is that
season.
a thing in Colorado?
Yes,
Is people
it's a
saying
thing.
that you're unathletic?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And that's what's crazy is because everyone who says I'm unathletic has never guarded me or would lose to me in a game of mini.
I will say, even though I say you're unathletic, I cannot guard you. So there's that.
I don't know. Yeah, it is weird. It's like these different
Definitely
kinds
Yeah.
of
in the
athleticism.
handler set, I cannot touch you at all, and it
If we're
pisses
just
me off.
measuring
I think-
power, speed, agility,
Right, unathletic. Fine.
all the
I can
components
take
of athlete. No, seriously though, you have great hand-eye. You have a loud mouth.
I don't want to be the hand-eye. I don't want to be the hand-eye guy though. Right.
Amazing fundamentals.
All the-
Amazing fundamentals.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a
Everything
gym rat.
It's a big
everything
fundamental.
everything neck up, I'm super good at. Loud, eyes, fantastic. 2020, probably even better than 2020. Brain,
All right,
brain is
all
on a
right,
different
Kins.
level.
We're here to talk about Joe,
Yeah.
not you tonight.
Stop making it about yourself.
Whoa, don't fucking come at me then to start the fucking pod. Starting the pod, we could have, if we wanted it to be about Joe, we could have started shitting on Joe's athleticism. But everyone was over here, oh Joe, you're so athletic, and Kin sucks. Kin's not athletic at all, but Joe is like the fastest fucking guy. Fuck that.
Somehow we
Anyway,
started
go
the
on,
Chill
go.
Kin segment.
I'm muting myself. Joe, talk about whatever.
Well, okay. Get in the doc, Kin, and Quinn, so you guys can be asking questions too. But I'll start off here. We'll just how are you doing, Joe? You're living. We did gather that you're living in Chicago pre-pod, but yeah, how are things
Yeah,
going?
good. I do frisbee hibernation most off seasons. I don't really play between end of nationals, and I start right about now. We were supposed to play yesterday, but it was like 25 degrees and like 25-mile-per-hour gusts of wind, so
Not
didn't
worth it.
happen. Otherwise, good though. Like I love not playing frisbee for an extended period of time. It's like one of my favorite things about
In off season.
like being able to play frisbee at a high level
Yeah.
is that you can still like not play frisbee for a little bit and be pretty good. So
So are you lifting or anything during the off season, running anything, or are you just kind of?
dude, I didn't want that sort of
I'm curious
question,
because
man.
I'm curious.
I do pretty minimal lifting. I do like light deadlifts, light front squats, and then last season I did a lot more stuff because I fucked up my ankle, so I like did a bunch of ankle PT. But it's pretty much that, and then I like play
Okay.
basketball and like do a bunch of standing bike workouts. Like cardio's always
Okay.
been my jam, and moving heavy things has never been my jam. And no one's ever been able to convince me to do it consistently. But now I've gotten in a rhythm of like actually doing deadlifts and squatting a little bit every time I go to the gym, which made me feel way better last season. But yeah, that's pretty much it for training. Last season I was delivering on my bike all summer because I was unemployed. So I was like in the best aerobic shape I had ever been in just from doing that.
Frustrating.
Are you good at basketball, Joe? You play a little
Yeah, I'm
ball?
good because yeah. I'm like I got the hand-eye coordinate. I'm just like a big guard, you know.
That's my
Wait,
thing.
you
Especially
got
What
the
like
hand eye
YMCA
and the speed?
YMCA pickup.
This is just not
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
I feel like that was a
5'12".
shot at me. What's your player build? Like if you had to like who's the NBA player you
Yeah,
most
I got you.
resemble?
I'm like a slasher. I'm like DeMar DeRozan. Like I love
Ooh,
my
the
mid-range
mid-range,
pull-up
yeah.
J.
Do you
Like
dunk? Do you dunk?
you see me high post. No, I don't dunk, bro. I like can dunk, but it's like I gotta like really run up. Like
Yeah.
I'm not pulling that off in a pickup game.
Yeah.
But I'm like back you down to the high post, little turnaround,
Ooh.
right over you. High
Joe, how
release
tall are
pull.
you? Are you
I love that.
6'3"?
I'm like 6'2.5", no shoes. I'm like
Okay,
an
cool.
NBA
All
6'5".
right, all right. I love the
Yeah,
NBA
that's nice.
analogies. It's a common theme on the
Yeah.
pod.
Good.
All right, so Carlton alum, you got your cut. You're representing the cut swag on the hoodie. Carlton has a storied history as I don't know if you guys call it this, but the Duke of College Ultimate. Tremendous alumni support. What's the deal with Carlton? Why do so many youth players? Why do so many talented youth players go there? And yeah, what does cut mean to you?
First part, why so many kids go there. I think it's like a place where a lot of the silver spoon frisbee kids who like school and do well want to go because it's like they think it's like a really storied program, and then also it's like a good school as well. And there are a variety of reasons. Of all the teammates I had there, probably like 80% of them, maybe more, had played frisbee in high school, and a lot of them did YCC as well. Some of them went just for frisbee, like literally that was the like reasons number 1, 2, and 3 why they were at Carlton. But like I know in my case, I wanted to go to like a tiny school. The other schools I applied to were the College of Worcester in Ohio and Earlham College in Indiana. And then frisbee was like something I did too. So um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's always going to draw frisbee players, but it's also going to like wax and wane. Like I think when the team's bad, we're going to get more good kids. That's
Really?
my hypothesis. Yeah. And then cuz like when we were so good, 2017, 2018, we had like Johnny Mox come visit,
right.
stay, he got in. John Randolph came to campus. Like we had all these guys who didn't end up coming because I think they were like, fuck that. Like I want to go and make Brown good. Or I want to go and like do my thing at William and Mary.
Holy cow! If you had
And right now, like, you know, we just got Declan
Yep.
and we're going to be really good again. So
Yep.
Who's the out of the the cut guys that you played with? tons of frisbee nerds. Who's the biggest frisbee nerd, and why is it Saul? But who actually is it? Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it's
That's what I
definitely
thought.
Let me think. I mean, Tim is up there, man. Like Tim's pretty close. I've got like a deep bag, but my bag is like men's club 2011
Okay.
through 2018, and then like college when I was in college. But Saul will just like pull random shit out of his ass.
Yeah, I was talking to Saul.
This
I was
kid's
talking to
learning.
Saul at U24 camp. Or I guess we were in Germany. We were at like our pre-tournament camp, and he was telling me what numbers some of my teammates were at that time, like role players on the team that he has no business knowing. And I didn't even know what number they were. And he's like, "Oh yeah, he's like number 24." I was like, "What? Like, how do you know this stuff?"
Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
very
huge.
deep bag.
It's insane.
That just like speaking of like, unathletic people, I think if you're gonna be like good at ultimate and have that athletic ability, you got to be the nerd. You've got to be the IQ.
Wow.
You've got to have the mental capacity to be really good.
The mental
and
edge.
the
Yeah.
throws, right?
We
You
need
know what I
a
mean?
40 between Kins and Saul. That would be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Dude, Saul's low-key athletic, man.
All right.
I'm saying it. He gets people
But
with
that's
that
what
jump
Kins
cut.
does
Like,
too.
you
Like
think
he gets people with his big long
Yeah.
leg step, and then like
Yeah. Well, Saul's like 5'10", 5'11".
He's probably got some quickness.
He does have that jump
quickness
cut
on him.
though.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can picture
What's
him
wrong
just,
with
like,
5'11" people,
slashing
Joe?
across the field.
No, Saul has like athleticism that's pretty tailored to being a good handler. I think he's a really hard guard, and yeah.
That's interesting. What were some of your favorite games at Cut? I mean, obviously, I can probably, guess some of them. But what were some of the most memorable
like this.
games?
Quarterfinals freshman year against Minnesota. They were reigning champs. They brought back a lot of their dudes besides Osgar, who were great. Like Yacht was on the team. And we were down like 8-5 or something at half, and we won 12-10 or so. We just ripped them apart in the second half. And I'm from Cincinnati, was in Cincinnati. Quarters, as you guys know, college nationals is like, well, at that point, like only one of the games is streamed. We're all next to each other. It's like, just sidelines packed with people. We're not like playing on a stream. The only footage of the game's back in zone. It was just like, I don't know. It's a sick game that I like think about pretty often. I'll talk about with my old teammates. Besides that, beating Pittsburgh my senior year at warm up, because like that was the last tournament that I got to play with Cut, and the pit guys are annoying, and we like demolished them.
That was 2020.
So that was 2020. Yeah. It was under the lights quarterfinal game. Yeah, Mike getting guarded me all game.
Big matchup. Well, what is that tournament like? We never go.
Dude, it's awesome. It's so cool. It's not Swiss draw, I believe, but it's like similar.
Yeah.
If you've ever played like Windmill or something. It's hot as fuck. But the vibes are just so good, especially for us coming from Minnesota. Like we haven't played outside since early November. We're all wearing our stupid cutoffs. Like it's a really fun tournament. Tampa is like beautifully trashy. Like it's just like one big strip mall. Reminds me of home.
Cincinnati. Sounds like Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah.
So what happened in some of those later years at Cut? Maybe we want to talk about that. Let's just dive into it.
Yeah.
Quinn's not gonna ask.
Yeah, Ken,
I mean,
you're asking
there was
specifically like not making nationals.
not making nationals. Hey, I mean, and this is coming from a guy who went to Mama
We
Bird
broke the
because
streak.
we had a 23-year
Just 20,
streak of going
just
to
20 years.
nationals.
And then
Just 20, and then I pull up freshman
Lose it
year,
for
and
us.
and it's my fault.
A little different though.
Well, I'll tell a quick story that the curse was probably when we had scarves made, like soccer style scarves made that said 20 years on them. And yeah, we fucked ourselves.
Yeah, that's bad juju.
Well, yeah, you
Um,
have to talk about that, Joe. Talk about that a little bit.
yeah. I mean, it's a weird year, like, and a weird tournament, that regionals. Like, I've definitely thought about it a lot because, like, when you lose in dramatic fashion like that, it's something you're gonna think about. I wasn't playing. I had gotten concussed a week before by a frisbee
Oh,
to the
no.
noggin. And then I mean, the killer was losing to Iowa State in the game, like the first game to go, because that's like we're playing a team that's like, they're fine. They had like 3 or 4 like good players who would have like played a lot on our team.
That's actually
But
my alma mater. I don't know anybody
really,
in the program
yeah,
anymore.
Mikey was actually on that team. You may not remember him. He was
you're a lot
playing.
younger than
He
I
was,
thought, man.
he was playing in that game.
I was using my
But I
18th
remember
year of
I was
eligibility.
I was filming the game for the first half, and I was like, oh shit, like we're playing so bad, and it was like super windy, and like our offense is just like, we're just like throwing everything away, missing like first throws on pull plays, just like nightmare stuff that happens in a game where like, the first third of the game is done and you're like, oh, we might lose.
Yeah, I mean,
It was
plus
like that sort of
you
vibe.
probably had a. I guess I didn't realize you weren't playing. You probably had a pretty big role on that team, and then to lose you for a
Yeah.
late season can be tough to overcome.
Yeah, and the weird thing is the day before, the way North Central Regionals usually works is 2 pools of 6, and this is with 3 bids. And the pool A, you have your crossover game with the 3 seed the first day. So we played Minnesota. So the idea is if you win that game, you have a gimme game against the non-bid earner in semifinals the next day to go to nationals. And we crushed Minnesota, like absolutely destroyed them. The game prior to that, like at 2 p.m. I mean, it's tough, man. It's fucking tough.
Did any like big
Like,
realizations come to you after that? Like, did it change your approach to Ultimate in any way? Sometimes I feel like after a big loss, you walk away, you reevaluate maybe.
it's definitely made me take every regionals way more seriously, just because like every other team I'd played on, even like High Five, when High Five's like wasn't a great team, but we still walk into regionals and we're like, oh, Indianapolis Brickyard, no way. But those thoughts are all gone now. Whenever I go into regionals, I still have like a soft spot, get pretty nervous before the game to go. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. Regionals, there's always at least one upset at regionals. What about that? Is the Hodag rivalry a real thing still? And
Mhm.
is it alive?
Yeah, I watched so North Central Regionals last year were in Madison. So I drove up and lost to the Hodags in the game to go.
God.
So it was great to see that
Again.
happen again. Because that was my last memory of college regionals, was me being on the sidelines watching that happen. It was much more respectful this go round. Our game against them in 2019 was one of like the truly nastiest games of frisbee I had ever seen.
Oh, go into
Of just
detail.
like,
I love that.
it was
Call
just
people
like,
out. You feel free. Like, feel free to name
yeah,
names and whatever.
Sam Hebert, this dude on the Hodags,
Ooh,
at the
Sam.
beginning, like halfway through the first half, Eblood makes like a dig cut for an upline, and Sam just like, does that to him, takes his knees out, Ethan's out for the rest of the game. Yeah, and they're observers. I got a yellow card for trying to get Sam ejected. And
I
he didn't get
respect
ejected.
that. I respect
But
that.
the whole game, I was just in Sam's ear, like, you're like the worst human being I've ever met in my life. Like, what you just did is like truly inexcusable. Nick Vogt got a dangerous play that game. He like totally like rocked Tim on and around, which I can understand, like,
Yeah.
hitting Tim. But it was just like and then I think one of their other guys had like a really like big open field hit on us. And it was just disgusting. Like, it was
Wow.
45 degrees, windy,
Classic
like
North Central.
arguing, really bad observers too. That's like one of my biggest memories of the game, like taking forever to solve calls, not
Yeah.
like looking visibly unsure while they're making calls.
Yeah,
Yikes.
I have some takes and observers
Yeah.
that we can touch on later.
Absolutely, yeah. There are no good ones. I'll say that much.
Frito, I like Frito. Frito's my neighbor, so
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Frito's my
he's the
guy.
best. He's
I
yeah.
fuck with that guy.
Do you generally talk a little bit while you play, Joe? I don't think I've only played you recently. I don't remember experiencing any words exchanged. Is that like a part of your game? Would you say, or only when justified, like only when some big hits are being laid, or were you
Usually
joking a
only
little
big.
bit?
No, I'm not the biggest chirper. I kind of let my actions, because I think there's like a flamboyance about my game that people don't like, with how I spike and walk
Totally,
around
yeah.
and talk
He's
with my
got
teammates. Because
swag.
I don't.
Yeah, I like
I remember
I don't really
when
talk shit.
we were doing the Lotus thing in 2021. We played Machine. Was it? I don't know if that was Pro Champs.
Yeah, Pro
And
Champs.
Pavel's on your team too, Mama Bird guy. And I think you were doing some Mama Bird chant or like some like.
Well, I scored deep on Alex to win the
Yeah,
game,
to
and I
win the
took my
game.
shirt off
Yeah,
and I yelled, "Let's go, moms!"
yeah. Fuck that. That's
so
crazy.
good.
I like how we just.
That's so good.
I ask you this question and we circle back to this. And what's annoying is Mikey's brought up that game and suddenly that memory popped into my head of you beating me deep to win the game. Shit happens. That was a fun game. We were getting smoked and
Oh my god!
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking a little bit to Goff because I think the funny thing about me is I talk more when I respect a player. I get a little more hyped up. And I remember Goff was guarding me, and I was getting some resets and stuff. And he was big in the AUDL at that time. And I remember cooking him up the field and being like, "Don't you get paid for this? Like, this is what you do." And I'm cooking you, and like, you don't even know who I am, probably. And I'm fucking wrecking you right now. Like I like to do it like catching an upline, like talking as I'm catching the upline. I think I don't know, you got to try stuff out.
We got different styles, man.
Yeah, different styles, but similar styles.
But it's all about pissing off the other team.
Right. Like even like we were talking about that after the Machine game, and I remember Shock came up to me and was like, you threw that huck, or Quinn maybe caught that really nice catch over like Bansfield and them, and you were yelling, and this is Shock talking to me, and he was like, you were yelling, Kins, like, it's just not your day. It's just not your day. And that really stuck with me. Like I started to think like maybe it's not our day. and that meant a lot to me when Shock said that to me. That made me feel really good because I felt like it was like a good word to throw in. But yeah. Quinn also the silent type. Quinn not. Unless Quinn's similar where like he'll just super passive aggressively edge spike it on you if you do something to piss him off. But not gonna
say passive aggressive or just aggressive?
I feel like it's just aggressive. There's not much passive. I don't know. I don't really talk much. I feel like Joe, you when we've played each other, we've just like chatted, and it's just been like nice conversations, opposed to like.
Yeah, well, I'm a big chatter. I'm a big chatter.
I hate that. I fucking
and it's like friendly. Like I want to like ask you like how you doing and stuff. Like whenever I play Pony, I'm like, Conrad, it's so good to see you, bro. Like how you doing? Like
that is funny,
Marquez,
though.
bro. Those polls like great for the game. Like shit like that, and like a couple of them are just like,
right.
Like Brian didn't tell me to talk to you. Like BVH didn't tell me I could talk to you. Like,
I actually like that technique a lot because those guys don't want to talk.
The Andrew Luck strategy, just be kill him with kindness, basically.
Yeah.
That's got me great thinking. Play, who's the toughest matchup you've ever had, Joe? As far as like someone guarding you, since you're mostly an O-line player.
Like when I was like younger, like I remember Trent in the finals in 2019 gave me trouble because he was just used to guarding guys like me, and at that point, like I wasn't used to someone like being able to guard me downfield and in the handler set. Like I'd be way more ready for that now. Since then, though, I don't know. Like, there hasn't really been like Conrad is definitely like really
Yeah.
good. Like Conrad is great at like making me go somewhere and making the field smaller. But like I don't know.
Yeah.
These guys are athletic, but like
I
I'm gonna-
I don't know. There's
I
no
get
one.
that. I
Yeah.
get that. Because like Trent and Conrad, like those are two of my picks, like toughest matchups I've ever had. Have you ever been guarded by oh Jesus, Rhino guy Daniel Lee?
Daniel.
You ever been
Oh
guarded
my
by
God.
Daniel Lee?
I played a
Dude,
year of club
D-Lee,
with D-Lee. He played
like,
on
Oh,
high five
really?
with me. Yeah.
dude, like Conrad
Yeah,
and
that's
Trent, like they're
interesting.
all like tough matchups, but dude, D-Lee is the worst. Like, oh my
I
God,
fear
dude,
him.
I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. It's the only player I'm like scared to go deep on.
That's funny. Yeah, I feel like I've got Dan. I like know
Oh,
Dan's
he's
lazy in certain ways. Like Dan doesn't want to run with me.
so
Like towards the
that's so
basket.
true. Like when he was guarding me in like the semis this year, I was like, wow, when he's guarding me, he's like in my shit. But it's only like half the time because the other half the time he's being lazy and poaching. But dude,
He's
but
looking
oh my
around. Yeah,
God, it's so
yeah.
scary being guarded by
When
him.
he turns it on, he
Dude.
makes up a shit ton of ground in an instant.
Yeah. Dude, that guy did not give a fuck when he played for high five. He was like skipping practices to like
Hell
drink
yeah.
beer. It's
Did
so
you know?
annoying.
It's
I
just-
thought he was gonna stop playing frisbee. I thought
Did
he
you
was
know
done.
he was good?
And then he like,
Uh,
oh yeah, no, we were all like,
Where's he
"Damn, you're so
from?
good. Come to practice." He's from Ann
Oh,
Arbor.
really?
I didn't know
He's
that.
from Ann Arbor.
Oh yeah, because he
Interesting.
played
Yeah,
for
he's a Michigan boy.
he
He's
played
a
for
Michigan
Magnum
Oh.
too.
Yeah, he's Magnum. Mhm.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna try something I've never done before on the pod here because we're talking about defenders. I actually have a play that I want to bring up.
Oh.
I'm gonna try to share my screen.
Wow,
We'll see if this works.
Whoa.
Let's do it.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
And
Joe, special guest to a first
Is
time
it
thing
is
on
it
the
Kin
pod.
skying
Yeah.
Joe on the D and then showing him the disc?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I might
Yeah.
have that one too, but
Oh, God.
Yeah, let's do
Um,
that one.
On that play,
I
Joe,
am-
did you think about calling strip for a sec? I feel like you look. No, okay.
No.
It's close. It's close, dude.
It was close. It was close.
But you kind of like
yeah.
look at your hands.
Did
for
you
a
think
sec.
about pretending? Did you think about pretending you heard a strip call?
Oh, whoa, whoa! Whose name is close enough to strip? Is there no one?
all right. We will play that one, but let's start with let's see if this one
Yes,
works.
let's go.
See, can you guys see this okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the batted one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna
I
talk
want to
about
know
this
what
play.
you were thinking on this play. So this to me is like the classic Joe White cut. I don't know if you call it
Oh,
that's the Kings play. I assume everybody calls this a butterfly, but I don't know if you would describe this, Joe,
Mhm.
as your own butterfly. But you are like the master of that kind of horizontal slash and then just turn it into a deep cut. Is that something you think about very much, or is this just you in flow making plays?
Well, that's Johnny getting the disc.
Yeah.
In my first year playing club, 2017 with High Five and 2018 was just our whole D-line offense was Johnny getting it and throwing me a hook.
That's lit.
So I remember that play. I came on the field for an injury, and like I was just waiting for Johnny to get it, and I was going to go to you. But definitely a butterfly cut. Yeah, I make them like super
Yeah.
deep when people aren't ready for them for throwers who
Yeah.
can throw them, like Johnny or Paul or
Yeah.
Pavel. So yeah, it's definitely something I consciously do.
And
all
you
the
do
time.
you pick and choose the thrower pretty readily. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I will never make that cut. Like I'll do it for Abe, do it for Johnny, I'll do it for Paul. Jack Shanahan.
I love that you said that, Joe, because we were
It's-
actually
it's-
talking about
no,
this the other day
don't
on
bring
the
this
pod.
up. It's different. He said he makes a deep butterfly for certain players. You were saying that you.
Right. He waits for those players to get the disc, and then he makes a really aggressive deep cut. And I respect
I mean,
that.
I do too. I do that for you and Nut, and that's pretty much the only people I'll make that like deep cut for, like that deep butterfly for. Like,
Yeah.
And how much of that also is like you want to sky Babbitt?
I thought Johnny wasn't going to throw it for a second because Jeff was on me. But Johnny will
dime
always
ball
throw it to me.
too.
Not a great bid either.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Bad bid.
Not a great
Yeah.
not a great
Bad
defensive
bid.
play.
Yeah,
You
Yeah,
saying
he came
anything?
up to me after.
Are you saying
He
anything
apologized.
after that? Or are you just edge spiking it and staring at their soul?
Well, no, I turned around and like looked at him.
Yeah.
I don't think I said anything.
Yeah, see, that's what I
Right.
do. I don't say anything. I just edge spike the shit out of it.
I did not say anything to Babbitt. I just turned to him and edge spiked it, and then he came up to me and like hugged me and apologized, and I was like, all right, don't do that.
That's like your strategy of like the kindness thing, but it's Babbitt. That's like a
Yeah,
big...
except I don't backpack people.
Babbitt is kind.
Okay,
He's kind
that's
of a
good.
gentle guy, though, right? I mean, maybe not with his play, but like,
Yeah, I've only seen Jeff like totally truck somebody like twice, 3
he's
times
got
maybe.
pretty impressive body control overall
For being
a guy that size.
the biggest guy in the field every time he's on the field.
Should we try another one of these?
Yeah, let's do it.
I've
Yeah.
3 clips pulled up. I'm not 100% sure
Let's go.
what the other ones are.
Alex wants to watch one of them in particular.
One where he comes out on top.
Well, no. Let's watch another one of Joe's first.
Definitely.
This fucking
Let's watch
throw,
a Joe
if you can
clip.
see this, okay.
Oh,
Do you remember this?
This throw
Oh,
is
yeah, this
fucking
was
stupid,
great.
dude.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
it goes out of frame above the camera.
It's 800 feet in the air and it's perfect, dude. It's so good.
I'll play it one
Yeah,
more time.
this is my greatest. That's my greatest throw ever.
Is this?
I remember after I threw it, I was like,
Well,
I'm surprised that worked.
Are you throwing that in an 11-11 game?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Probably not, because on the line before the point, like we had just gotten broken. Like I think this is coming off of 2 breaks in a row.
Could be.
Maybe I'm wrong.
yes, it was definitely 9-6.
Yeah. And I remember on the line we're like running that hitch play for me to just catch it on the rail.
Yeah.
And Nate just said, "Joe, I'm going deep no matter what." And I was like, "Okay,
I'm throwing it no matter what." Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I said to him too. I was like, if there's any amount of space, I'm gonna get it to you. And my backhand, I can throw a huge blade really far. So
I don't know
felt pretty
if any of
comfortable
you
with
have
that.
listened to the commentary, but Mazur's on the call and he says that was a sweet throw, but I don't know if that's the right play call after getting broken twice in a row or something like that. No fear though.
I'll always have haters, man.
All right.
I think that just comes with it, you know.
I'll
comes with
satisfy
the,
Kins a little bit and play this.
Yeah.
Play this one. And
This is the hardest Alex has ever run.
It's the
what do you
fastest,
think about
hardest and
Kins here with
fastest.
this? Do you have any opinions on Kins showing the disc there? Did you even realize?
That's at the time now. I knew that I know Alex well enough that I knew he was gonna like do something to celebrate, but I wasn't gonna like look at him. Like I'm not gonna give you that in that moment.
Well,
no, that one's funny because you say it's the hardest I've ever run, but it was definitely the hardest I've run that tournament because I did not want to disc that bad that whole
free
tournament.
swing.
Like it was like
Yeah, that's good.
like again, like this is the same thing of like respecting a player and wanting
Dude, it might be a
just
strip,
a little
man.
bit more because of like who
so?
you are. Shut the fuck
Dude,
up.
it might
Quinn.
be.
You are
Shut the
such
fuck
a
up.
hater. Dude, Quinn is such a hater, man. Let me
Ooh,
be
that
happy,
is
Quinn.
close.
Dude, it's close.
It is really close.
It's-
It was. I remember thinking at the time
And
that's really.
it was
close.
it's a great D
But
too.
I don't.
As much as I
It
hate
was,
on
um,
Kins, it's a good D.
But that was the hardest I run because my knee was not in great
Oh,
shape at this
mama,
point.
that is
Like
close.
I was
Yeah.
not.
You were
I was
barely
not
moving all
No,
tournament.
Literally, I was barely. But the funniest thing about that was like because of a reputation of someone who would go deep. Like I just had enough of that reputation that people weren't guarding me close enough, even though my knee was like fucked up, which is cool.
Yeah.
But now people are gonna think that I want to throw it.
That you're an immobile Standler type.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna come back mobile and athletic.
As the editor, we can choose to cut this, but
Watch out.
we didn't use Kins as a downfield guy at all tournament because he was hurt all year, and then come finals, the first point they put Jasper on you, right, Kins? So
yeah, that was That was
Yeah,
awesome.
it's like,
that felt
well,
really good.
we know
Yeah.
Kins can do other things.
Daryl's like, I figured it out.
yeah.
I cracked the code. We'll put the 5'8" guy on Alex Atkins.
It's
Yeah.
generous 5'8" too, I think.
So we started
Yeah.
initiating
Yeah.
with Kins downfield.
That was actually really funny because that was the first point they put Jasper on me. We turned it over, and maybe
wasn't
not
the
the
first
first
point.
point. It was either the first. Okay, then it was the second point. Then it was the second point. Jasper came down on me. It was a really
wasn't
early
The one
first
where
point.
Ben just threw it away.
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
missed me wide. It was weird.
Yeah.
Well, whatever point that was, it was early in the game, and Jasper was guarding me, and there was like, in my condition, I was like, "There's no fucking way I'm gonna guard Jasper on this turn." So I yell at Danny as the disc is on the ground. I yell at Danny, like, "Danny, switch! Like, I'm a guard your guy." So he was guarding Farah, so I go to guard Farah, and that's when Bloodgood threw up that fucking piece of shit, and I got that D in the finals because
I was there too.
you
I
know,
was terrified though.
Luckily enough to.
I was on the backside.
Yeah,
I was
you
on
were
the
there.
Backside.
I forgot about that play.
Luckily,
It's an
your
ugly play for the
luckily your
finals.
athletic teammate.
I was
there
so
to,
scared.
bail
I
you
was running
out.
down with you and Fred Farah, and I was like, "You guys are fucking huge. What? I can't do anything right now." Like,
Yeah, he's a
Some
tank.
people don't use their size well. Like, I honestly think like that's like so many ultimate players who are tall do not play tall. Like, I don't know. I think that like we have a lot of people on our teams and also in other teams who are big people
Who?
who could be very
Who?
effective if they were
Let's hear it.
able to. Well, even like I mean, and this is I've talked to Sandy about this, so I'm okay with talking to Sandy. And I know Sandy listens sometimes, but Sandy's like 6'7", but doesn't play tall. And it's like if you could be tall or play tall, you would be really, really hard to stop. I think there's a lot of people that could. I think a lot of it is a mindset. Like you got to have a like. Do you feel like you have a little anger inside of you, Joe, when you go deep? Like even though you're a nice guy, like all that stuff, you feel like you feel a little anger in you, you know?
Like a little bit. I know what you're saying. You kind of like tap into some like primal urge when you cut deep.
Well, and you really want to beat the other guy, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a competitive thing, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the other funny thing is like going deep is. What do you like more, going deep or throwing deep?
Like probably like bagging someone really bad going deep is like better than any other feeling. Even throwing like the most perfect crazy hook, like just totally jamming on a dude is like there's nothing better than that. Like Quinn out of the half against us.
Holy cow,
yeah, that was funny.
That's when I knew we were gonna lose.
Because I was yelling, "It's not your day." Yeah, no, that's what.
when you said like,
I think that was
like,
the moment.
When you said like a primal thing, like when someone good is guarding you, I thought of that play literally because Ross guarded me for like almost the whole first half, I think, and then out of half, Bansfield came down to me and I'm like, I am going fucking right now.
And
then Cole throws you a
horrible
throw. Terrible throw.
Or was it?
It might
great,
have been
or was
okay
it beautiful?
if Rutledge wasn't
That's a
there
good point.
to help.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I mean, it's like into your stack where the back side help is always going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one of those.
If it works, it works.
Like I feel like there's a lot of games where sometimes like the plays are just going one team's way. Like that's like a weird thing to capture in ultimate, but like momentum. Like I feel like in our first pool play game against GOAT, like it was a close game, but they made everything like 50-50 ball. Every 50-50 ball.
Yeah, they were throwing a ton of deep
you know?
shots with a ton of edge and completing every single one of them.
Yeah, it's pretty demoralizing for sure. It's tough to stop.
Oh. Did we lose Joe?
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi dropped for a second.
I have to ask one thing about that game too. I'm not sure if I imagined this or not, but so Kins all game was yelling when it's on, it's on. Joe, do you remember that?
I remember it's not your day. I don't remember when it's on.
God, I must have imagined this then. Someone from the back of our end zone, I thought it was you in our game against Rhino in the semis, was yelling that in the back of the end zone, and I thought it was you, but it must have been someone else.
It might be. I'm a notorious yeller when I watch watch
Okay,
games,
yeah.
so I'm sure I was definitely yelling in the back end zone of that
Okay,
game.
dude.
And I remember you
I
like
think it
turning
was
around and
Joe.
laughing at something. It was probably me. I can't. I was
Okay,
really
cool.
drunk.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
I
remember.
I thought it was you, and I thought you were yelling when it's on, and I was just laughing so hard.
You probably did some like ignorant
Exactly,
shit in
yeah.
sport, and I was like, God,
So
that's so annoying.
that's actually an interesting
But when it works,
question.
it works.
Are you a player once you lose, you go straight to the alcohol? Like, I think there's two types of players. Some people like to get, it doesn't have to be alcohol either. You get fucked up, or do you like to like sit on it
Oh
for a little bit? Like after you lose
no,
a
I
big
was.
game,
I
once
had.
your season's over.
I found Rafi Hayes as fast as I could, and I got Nicorette from him because I know that he always has Nicorette on his person. I mean, I'm not like getting like fucked up to forget. I just like want to
Have fun.
relax because that's like the headspace I want to be in for the rest of nationals. But definitely for the first like 45 minutes to an hour, I'm like just like super quiet in my thoughts.
Yeah.
Like I remember we played y'all right after we had lost to Pony
Mm-hmm.
in 2021
Oh yeah.
in consolation, and that was just like not in the mood.
Oh yeah. That game was interesting. The only thing, or one of the biggest things I remember from that game was Dalton's bid on Cody Spicer, and
Dalton's hit
oh
on
my god, it was
Cody.
so
Yeah.
bad. And I remember
Not good.
Graffy being a douche
Yeah.
too, but that's about it.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah. What a
I
terrible
actually
person.
I pulled up a consolation game from this year. Yours against, who was it? Was it against Ring
Probably
in
Ring,
fifth
yeah.
place? Yeah. Yeah, I probably watched the first 2/3 and was like, you know what? It's a pretty good game considering what round this is, but nobody really wants to be playing that game.
Yeah. I had a pack of yellow and red cards that I was handing out during all the consolation games to people. Yeah. Consolation
The
at Club
worst.
Nationals is like
The
a different
worst.
sort of terrible.
It is the worst.
Yeah,
sucks. Yeah.
I'm at this point. I when the Triple Crown first came into existence, I was a supporter, but I'm not a huge fan of it anymore, and I don't like playing out the games. I'm on the record of also hating tournaments. I think that they're awful, but obviously, I'm going to keep going and coach.
From a competitive standpoint.
Yeah, from a competitive
you
and
think they're off.
safety standpoint, everything else about a tournament is amazing. But
Sure.
Like the third game, the first day of Club Nationals, and how it might be a little bit unsafe.
yeah,
Maybe
right?
a little bit.
Just a little bit.
That's like
Well, like,
I can't believe we're still doing that. It's so crazy.
It's insane.
it is insane. And like, I don't
Go ahead.
know. I don't know how it shook out this year, but I remember our first Club Nationals when we were there with Lotus. Every team that lost in the pre-quarters lost their next game of consolation to the team that had been already out, that got knocked out in the game of pool play. And it's just such a bad thing because you lose pre-quarters, your season is over, you're crushed, and you have to go play a team immediately that's been out for an entire day and is like already grasped and accepted the fact that they suck and are like moving on to next season. But then the worst part about it is it has implications into your next year. So it's just like it's not great. It's not great. I don't know what it was like this year, but it was like all these better teams are just losing to like Temper or whoever, like Dig, or I guess it was like a bad Dig. Omen, like because they're already out. Like they're like, fuck it, like we're just gonna play for pride. Whereas like you're like questioning what matters in life at this point. Like 30 minutes after you lose, your season is over. You're like really reevaluating like what matters in life.
The worst loss I've ever had was a consolation game. It was
that Dig game.
the Dig game. It was not last, the national before last. We played Dig for like, I don't know, it was like for 8th or something, and they took half on us 8-1 and beat us like 15-5 or something absolutely
it was
insane.
brutal to watch. We were watching that game.
Oh yeah, and they had gotten bounced from pool play, right?
We lost a tight one in quarters to Sockeye. It was just like, ugh, dude.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy that you can even play up to top 8 if you don't make quarters.
It might not have been 8th.
Yeah, high five to that 1 year. No, I think
Yeah,
you're
you
right. I
can.
think
You
Dig
can.
Was
was
it?
pro
Okay.
flight this past
Yeah.
Okay,
year,
cool.
and
Yeah.
they were in our pool that year, and I know they didn't advance.
Yeah.
So
Dig was legit good last year.
They're sneaky.
Actually.
They were so, and they did.
they were.
And they
missed.
didn't make
Yeah.
nationals.
Oh yeah, and then they didn't make nationals. That's so funny.
Yeah, we got smoked by 2 teams last year, and it was Bravo and Dig.
Dig gave us a ton of problems last year too. We their D for whatever reason they were
Yeah.
always like universe games.
Yeah. Jeez.
All right, can you tell us your favorite Pavel story? What do you think? Tell me
yeah.
your favorite
Ooh.
thing and your least favorite thing about Pavel. Maybe just tell me 2 things you hate about him. I don't care.
Yeah. So the first machine thing I ever went to was tryouts, the last day of tryouts in 2019, and the Wildfire,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
old
yeah.
Union. They had lost the game the night before against like Pittsburgh, some like terrible team, you know. It's when the Wildfire were bad. And Pavel rolls up to practice in his yellow, like whatever that thing. You know, you guys know the van I'm talking about, that horrible yellow van he
do.
drove
Yeah, I've
for a
seen
long
it.
time. Yeah. He rolled up to practice in that, gets out of the car with his like over ear headphones on, doesn't talk to anyone the whole tryout because he's so pissed that they had lost. And I was like, this dude is a fucking freak.
There's nothing normal about him.
Yeah, nothing normal. Great
He is
guy
a great
though.
guy.
That's like, I feel like Pavel is a teammate who I like immediately took for granted in terms of like how hard he worked and like how good he is, because I feel like he's like a game manager of a frisbee player, which is really boring a lot of the time. And like when he does fuck up, it's like the most annoying thing in the world. But I've grown to appreciate his game so much more, and I feel like every year we've played together,
the game
we've
manager
gotten way better
Pavel.
together.
I
Yeah,
can't wait to text him
exactly.
that. I'll have to forward you a
Well,
Snapchat that I think a lot of us have saved when he was moving out to Chicago from Colorado. He drove the entire way in that van, and he was just
yeah, and the golden
he was
potato.
falling asleep, just crushing Red Bulls. He was sending us snaps of him crushing Red Bulls. And then at one point he couldn't take it anymore, and he like smashed a can in his head and then just dumped a Red Bull on top of his face while driving on
Yeah,
whatever
he
IAD.
is the Snapchat king.
He is.
He will send some like crazy out of pocket Snapchats where I'm like, whoa, that's weird.
Good teammate though.
Yeah, like I loved playing with him this past year. Every season I've played with him, I think he and I have like gotten more and more on the same page. And I finally felt like this year we like really figured it out. Like I know what he wants to do. I know when to just like give the disc back to him. Which is something I didn't do before this year. And this year, like sometimes, because you know he'll come for those like 1 yard pop outs.
Yeah.
And I hate throwing those, but I was like, all right,
I mean, it's like almost
I'll
every
run
time
away.
he throws it, he wants it back like right away. It feels like, yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. And I feel like he's gotten better too, because he's so used to doing Union Wildfire where like that whole team was his,
Yeah.
and the team was good because he was just like
That's just leader
throwing
of the
so
league,
many completions. And yeah, exactly. And machine, it's different because our O-line is like our thing this past year was supposed to be that like, you know, we had all these guys who could be so good, and it didn't work out as it was supposed to. But I feel like he's gotten better at sort of like knowing when it's his time to do that versus like just throw that first and just like
Do you
sit
also
in the
think
recess
that's
space.
like AUDL versus club, like a difference there? Like Pavel can, or just players in general can kind of make a bigger difference in the AUDL than they can in club?
Oh, that's a tough question,
I know.
Quinn. I
I
see
think
what you're
in
trying
club
to
it's
do.
harder to make a singular impact than it is in the AUDL. Yeah.
Why?
Really?
Why do you
I think it's just
that?
different player styles can have more of a significant impact.
Fair. But like,
If that makes sense.
like big throwers and big cutters can make a bigger difference in the AUDL than they can in club, I think. Like someone like Nut is obviously not going to have as big of throws in club, but he's going to make a huge difference for your team in the AUDL, like massive. And he's going to be a difference maker in club too, but I think to the extent it's not the same. I don't know.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there's just more talent
That's fair,
in
too.
club right now. So
That's fair too.
yeah. Yeah, go back to what you were saying a little, Joe. Like all that talent on machine. Why do you think? What are some of the troubles there? I even had on the document. Maybe you saw it. Day 2 machine ? What's up, bro? Like so much talent. You
Yeah.
know, maybe you could just go into that.
Yeah.
A little bit.
What are your thoughts on
Well,
the
we
travel
don't.
players too?
Yeah, I mean that's the big part of it. We don't like practice that much. Like so much of we now have an O-line core that's been playing together for years with like Pavel, me, Keegan, Paul, Shanahan. I'm sure I'm missing someone,
Jeff,
but that's really
Jeff
nice.
didn't play.
Jeff Weiss
Yeah.
didn't play this past year. Yeah. But every year we try to integrate, and this has been every year that I've been on the team, we try to integrate like a really high functioning player that is going to eat up a lot of touches. We're either going to try to throw to a bunch or we want them to throw a bunch. And we only practice probably like 3 weekends, maybe 2 total with that whole group there. And then we have, the handful of tournaments and guys miss it. So I guess I could blame it on that. It did feel like this past season we wanted to be really like, we have all these great pieces. Let's try to like level it out and have like Jordan, Joe, Abe, Dalton, Pavel, Paul get all their touches when they come. And we're not going to just like put our star on the block. And I don't know, we kind of coughed it up, Yeah, we were like a big space offense too. Like that's my biggest thing when I watch the film now. I see that like our cutters are like 30 yards downfield, and when it looks good, it looks great, and we move the disc really quickly. But we didn't really like adapt to something that like shrunk the field, like force middle, what you guys were doing, or we struggled a ton with junk defenses in zones too.
Yeah, I thought Abe looked pretty good against us. We seem to have good luck playing against Jordan. We see him a lot in the AUDL as well, and Paul had a rough game against us. He had a couple huck turns in the first half, I think.
Yeah, the sort of rough game that sneaks up on you.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
like it's a rough game once you've thrown the turns. That's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
a normal game for you, but you miss
Yeah.
the looks that like
You're
you
used to
normally
hitting.
throw.
Yeah, the wind was a little kind of swirly.
And because Paul played really well against us.
I was going to say
it was
payback.
He hit
it was
his throws
payback
there.
for the AUDL.
And it was like
Yeah.
night and day.
Dude,
those 2 games was like night and day. But that's really what it is. You miss the shots or you hit them, and some days, when it's on,
When it's
it's
on,
on.
it's
I
on,
guess.
Yeah.
I feel like we just keep circling back to that. It really encompasses a lot in that statement.
And like in that, like related to that, I feel like something you guys did really well is like, I think Machine is really bad at like celebrating when like dumb shit works. And I was like, damn, Bravo's so hyped that that you guys are just like balling out, and it doesn't matter like the context or like how you're doing it. But
So you're saying
that was something.
You're saying we have dumb shit, Joe? Is that what you're saying?
No, like when Quinn skied the fuck out of us, it's like, whoa, like
Well, it's
that's
hard.
crazy.
Yeah, hard not to get hyped.
We wouldn't have thrown that. Yeah. But
I don't know if you wouldn't have thrown that. There's someone on your team throwing that for sure.
I feel like we were like a pretty risk averse team to the extent where our turns ended up being like just missing shit that we were trying to throw so fast. We weren't like, oh, let's go let our guy make a play.
Yeah, which you have a lot of guys.
That's my idea of dumb shit.
Yeah, I mean, definitely going to like just playing free for sure. Just playing frisbee, throwing it up to your boys who are athletic. And
I will say though,
it is fun.
That's
fun
like the first year that Bravo has done that since I've been on the team for the last few years. Usually we're pretty boring in terms of like celebration and stuff like that, but this year it was like we went all out, and I think it was great.
This might be
there was when we played y'all at Pro Champs. It was like one of the first things I thought. I was like, "Fuck, they're like
having fun,
enjoying themselves more
on
than
the
we
120 degree turf."
Oh, that warms my heart
on the
to
Raleigh,
hear.
North Carolina turf.
It's
Yeah.
always a treat to hear that the team you're a part of is having fun.
Perceived at least as having fun.
Yeah.
What was I going to say about? I think it was
the travel players.
Oh no, we kind
Did
of
we
touched
touch
on the
it? Okay,
travel
cool,
players.
cool.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about that, Joe? Is it tough? Is that something that you want to keep doing with Machine?
So I started as a travel player, which you guys might not know. My first year, 2019, I was living in Minnesota. I was gonna play Sub-Zero, and then I ditched literally last minute to play Machine. I think that for the state of our team currently, it's good. Like, our problem as a city is that we're similar to Pony in a lot of respects, where like our feeder programs aren't great. All of our good players are mostly expats.
Yeah.
Like, we've got a couple guys who are Chicago-made Frisbee players, like Eli Artemakis, Joey Kennedy. Like, we've got a handful who are like playing in the city and great, but I feel like we're always like really keenly feeling that we don't have the talent to like play up to the top 8 or the top 4. And like, I think part of it too is that we had a lot of success with it in 2019 when we took all the high five guys. And we feel like we can replicate that in a different way. But there are definitely moments where it's like, oh shit, like this isn't working, or this sucks. Or like, wow, I haven't practiced with this guy at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he wants to do.
Do you enjoy practice? I mean, I know it's a silly question.
Do you
like
Frisbee?
well,
No, some people don't, man. Some people don't like practice.
yeah, some
people are anti-practice.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Just in terms of, I mean, obviously getting the chemistry and everything, but I value practice so much. I think these guys do too, and I assume you do as well. But spent like that time is just it's obviously so valuable that my opinion is if you need to take remote players, if that's best for your team, do what's best for your team for sure. Ideally, I like to build from local talent as much as possible, and so I mean sometimes it's just not possible. And I think for a few years for Bravo, it may not have been. And now we're just in a fortunate situation, and who knows what's going to happen this year. But we having the talent, the luxury of local talent is so nice. Like TK and I and Joe on Bravo, I know we value that so much from a culture standpoint that I think I would almost prefer if our ceiling was, pre-quarters, quarters as a local team than finals as a broader team, which I could. Quinn might not agree with this at all because I know Quinn he loves to win. But yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, I hear what you're saying. These thoughts have run through my head, and like, I feel like I've said to people at some point where like, if it's not working, like we have to stop, and that might be this year. Like, if we have a quarters exit again with our travel players maxed out, and like we both have that, and we also have in region travel players. So we were like, I think we were like at 9, maybe 10 guys who were outside of like the Metro Chicago area this past year, because the high five guys are all in Michigan and Ohio and in region.
So even they can't come for practice regularly.
Yeah, it's like our Wednesday pods, which we thought were amazing this year, are still only like 14 or 15 guys.
You guys have some of your O-line players are travel players too, correct?
Jordan.
Yeah, this past year,
Jordan and Abe. So that's what surprises me the most is I'm usually on board for travel players, but my knee-jerk reaction is always they should play D-line just because O-line takes a bit more practice and a bit more chemistry than you can get.
Cohesion.
Yeah, like I just feel like you can't get that with travel players, and it shocked me when I saw like Jordan playing O and Abe playing O, like great players, amazing players that could play on any O line. it's an interesting way to have them on O if they're just not practicing with you guys.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of it too is that like these guys need experience and like not like I think about I'm like singling out like Walt
Mhm.
from this past year and Jordan, who are two like great players who had never like been on a really great men's team before. And I think like Abe and Dalton, I think were both like
Yeah.
both meshed really well. It was pretty easy. And for all our like newer guys who hadn't played at the level and are also playing on an O line, I think it's like harder, which I noticed towards the end of the year, and that's something I didn't really have on my radar in terms of like a
Yeah.
challenge we would have. And I'm sure if they were in the city, that would have been easier. Because I know you guys had like a bunch of guys who were like under 25
Yeah.
playing on your
It
O line,
was
which was
I
cool
think
to
that
see.
it was under 25 and Ben. It was
Besides
just
Ben.
Ben.
That's
Will,
crazy, yeah.
I
might
guess
have been
Will's 26.
26,
Will's 26
but
technically. He might have
yeah,
been 25, 26.
And what about
Will's
Cole? How old is
26.
Oh, Cole's
Cole?
26 too. Will and Cole are the same
Cole's
age.
26 now. I think he was.
Still like a young,
Yeah.
it's like guys who are like my generation and
Yeah.
Will, or younger than me now. I guess like Calvin's not my generation.
Because Calvin,
But
Danny.
you're
yeah,
a 98,
younger.
Joe. We're the
Calvin,
same
Danny.
year, I think. Yeah,
98.
we're the same year.
Yeah.
Kins
yeah.
is kind of our year, but you're younger, I guess.
No,
Yeah, but you're
I'm
a year younger in
98.
school.
I'm a 98 boy.
But going back
Yeah,
to
December, baby.
Walt Jensen, that guy, when we first played you guys at Pro Champs, we did like a little bit of film and like had matchups and stuff. We had no idea who this guy was, and he just came out and absolutely cooked us for like
Destroyed
dude,
you guys.
he had like 5 goals and 3 assists, and we're like, who the hell is this guy? And just absolutely cooked us. It was eye opening. That guy is really good.
Yeah, where did
Yeah,
he
he's
come
amazing.
from?
So at U24 in Heidelberg, we played the Dutch mixed team. And they are that iteration of that Dutch team is like all of the group players. If you guys know that mixed team, they lost a mixtape in WCC this past year in quarters. So it's like Ben Ort, Walt, Fleur, like amazing players. And it was like a close game, but you know, we're like so much better than everybody. It was like 15-9. And Walt like skied the fuck out of me, was destroying us all game. And after the game, I was like, if you ever want to play in the US, like just hit me up. And then flash forward, 3 years, I'm in Belgium playing in Tom Sterney, my first tournament when I was playing with Isno. And Walt just comes up to me and he asked me if he could play for
Wow.
Machine this year. And I was like, well, I think you're pretty good.
Dude.
If I remember
That's
correctly.
so cool. That's
That's
so sick.
though.
Yeah. And then we played Groot. Groot had split men, women for that tournament, and we played their men, and Walt like destroyed us. And Tim and I were like, we need this guy. Yeah. So he came over. He was here for WCC, so he came to the US Open, went back to the Netherlands for like 2 weeks, and then got back to the US maybe a week before Pro Champs, and he lived in this house with us for the last 2 months of the season.
The Frisbee
That's
house.
super cool.
That's really fun. What's it like
Yeah, it was
playing
awesome.
over the seas
What
over
was your
there?
connection to Isno?
I'll do Mike's question first. They just emailed me. They just cold emailed me. Steph Rapazzo, who's one of the Ulti TV guys, the OG Ulti TV guys, just like hit me up and was like, "Hey, we'll put you up. You just like have to pay your way to get over here." And I decided to quit my job and go over there. As for playing Frisbee in Europe, everyone's worse. But I think the clubs like and teams have more like individual identity, which is cool because like there's no like I'm Jimmy Mickle, I'm gonna go play for Pony after I played for Bravo. It's like, okay, I'm from Bologna, I'm gonna play for CUSB, or like I'm from Nantes, I'm gonna play for Chalk Forever, or I'm like from London, I'm gonna play for Clapham. Like guys don't move around really, so all these teams have like a ton of connectivity, and like you have guys who have played on like tiny shitty teams for like 20 years just because they're like from Strasbourg or like from Grenoble. Yeah, it's awesome, but like the level of play is definitely like a step below. I'd say that much.
It's really
Yeah,
cool.
Joe Durst has had a lot of good things to say about the European scene in terms of community and how you can like play all year round with the indoor leagues. Did you ever do any of those?
Yeah, it's crazy. They have competitions like the season never ends. You're always like getting ready for beach, getting ready for outdoor, getting ready for indoor. Like, and then you're playing with your club too. Like your club is represented all of those. And then a club is usually a men's and a women's team too.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Honestly, one of my dreams is to play on a different country's national
Ooh.
team and
Is that the Kins
play
bomb
the
of the
US.
episode?
Maybe. I mean, I think being from Philly and having more of an underdog mentality, like I think making a US team would be really sick and would feel really good. I think in terms of playing at a Worlds tournament, I kind of dream about playing for like a Great Britain
Should
or
we trade
in Italy,
you to
something like that.
Ireland for Ferdia?
I don't want to. Who's Ferdia?
Ferdia, he's like the offensive player of the year, I think, in Europe, and he's
Oh,
also expressed interest in playing with Bravo.
Yeah, it's on the table still. It's on the table.
Yeah.
Fuck.
nah, but that sounds really cool.
I have a
honestly,
I have a ton
can't
of
wait.
regret from this past Worlds because Ron only asked me to play with them, and I said no, and I have a ton of regret.
Really?
Yeah,
Man, you were playing.
I was playing so much
though.
frisbee, dude, and Devin would have killed me if I had another.
Me
Yeah,
too.
and I was just like, I can't, guys. Like, I'm sorry, but regret, mistake.
Yeah. It's okay, Quinn. There
more
will
frisbee.
always be more
Yeah,
frisbee
you're
to
right.
play.
But we should all go. Like, can we all go and like pull like a Mickle and Kocher and like actually make the team good?
The three of you.
That's what Tim and I were trying to do with his no.
Right. And so I guess I'll put my question back out there. Like, can we?
Yeah,
actually
okay,
try
yeah,
to-
Like us three, where are we going?
I don't know. I'm down to go wherever. I just think.
Japan. Let's
dude,
go play in
hell yeah.
Japan. We'll be like so much bigger. Than
dude,
everybody.
that would be the
three of you
funniest
playing with
fucking
the-
thing.
like
Oh
the
my
Buffaloes.
god. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that would be
Everyone else is
so
like 5'8".
funny. That would be so funny because I think it'd be really cool for club. I also think it'd be really cool. Like, I would go and live in England for a year before a national, like a national team Worlds, like I guess a WGC, and play for that team. I think that would be so much fun. Cause imagine you take down the US or you play well against the US. I mean, it'd be it's what dreams are made of. Maybe that's what my dreams are made of. At least I don't know
Yeah,
about other people.
Like I think Paul's favorite frisbee memory is now
Oh
beating
my god.
Hell
Sockeye
yeah.
We were
Right.
And
like,
I've played
that is-
like I've been on like every single team with Paul for the last like 6 years, and then the one team I don't play on with him, he's like, "It's the greatest experience I've ever had in my life."
no, I mean that looks amazing. Honestly, like that seems so.
Yeah.
fun.
Bravo Slack was huge fans of the Mooncatchers, as I think
Massive fans,
many teams were.
Most
Yeah,
people.
it was the
Yeah.
Slack was blowing.
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was an awesome run for sure. But is next year a qualifying year for the club
Is it every 2 years?
Worlds?
Um,
No, it's every 4.
It's every 4, but I
Oh, it's
didn't
'cause
know if it
COVID,
was.
'cause
I heard that
COVID.
it was because of COVID.
It's either next year or the year after. I think I can't remember. Though. I don't
I'd
know.
have to look it up.
I don't know. Something to think about. Something to keep in mind for sure. Maybe we can move to a foreign country one day, and I think the Japan idea is
I love how you're
really
saying-
sick. Because also don't like most of the Buzz Bullets guy, and maybe I'm wrong, but don't they work for a company?
Shutter.
Bunker
Yeah.
Shutter. Yeah.
So let's go
They
work
make
there.
garage doors,
I mean,
think. Ken's eye.
we can be like we can like be the English like people translators,
I was
or I
gonna
guess
say
we can't
we're
translate, but like we can.
Quinn watches a
But,
ton of
like,
anime,
yeah,
so he's your best
I
bet.
can watch.
Yeah.
more.
Also, just
Yeah,
that
if
would
you're
be
Japanese.
so funny. You have like 4 really short Japanese guys out there on the line, and then just these 3 tall white dudes out there. The mix would just be so great. I mean, there would be a document, like there would be a
That's
docu-series
the first
made
time
after
someone's
that.
ever called me tall. I appreciate that, kids.
Relatively.
It's all relative.
Oh.
It's all relative. Yeah.
Kins, you've never
Well-
played on a national team?
Nope. Like I honestly credit a lot of that to why I have gotten good, because it pissed me off growing up that I U19 didn't get a U20, but I think it was U19 then maybe. I didn't get a
You didn't get
tryout.
a tryout even.
Me
Wow.
neither.
Didn't get a tryout. That pissed me off.
The 2016 team?
Right, because there were a bunch of people. You were probably
I
on
got
that
cut
team,
from that
and
team. I got
Okay.
cut from that team. Yeah.
and I know but Duncan was on it, and like Colby, Duncan
Who are we
Fitzgerald,
talking
like
about?
Colby
Colby.
Chuck?
Was it that? Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
They're on my
I
list
remember-
too, Alex. They're on my list.
Dude, Joe, they were on my list, man. Like,
They're
because it
still
would
on
be
my
funny.
list.
Like, I would go up against they're not up. They've gone off my list ever since we did unreasonable things to them
Oh,
at
hell yeah.
Stanford
Hell
junior
yeah.
year. Dude, Ted Scyther, he was also
Ted's a
on the
baller
list.
though.
They're all
Ted
off
is a
the list.
baller
now.
though, dude. Ted's sick.
Whatever. I don't know. Cool. They were all on my list, and yeah, they like was like a hit list of like I need to do something to you on the ultimate field, because then U24, the first year I tried out, I was young, and that was the year.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes,
We were at the
you
same
were there.
tryout,
Yes,
Alex.
you were
Yeah.
there, and I was
Yeah.
young, and that was like one of the last times I was not the most confident person on the field. I remember like at that. Hadn't like been to, because I hadn't been to a world. So it's also, I think, whenever you're at a new setting, like I had never been to a world's tryout because I wasn't even invited to the U19 one. So it's just like a new setting, kind of like uncomfortable. Definitely didn't have my best tryout. Don't know if it would have mattered, and I was young. And then this U24,
COVID.
I think I would have been on the team, but it was COVID.
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah.
And so now it's just the unage
Joe,
restricted
could you have
team
played
stuff
for a
where I
third
am.
cycle this past one? Yeah.
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 It would have been my.
They denied me my
yeah,
three-peat.
Has
Yeah.
anyone done a three-peat? Did Stubbs
Wait,
do
what
it?
do you mean? They didn't
COVID.
let you
COVID.
try out? What does that mean?
The tournament got
Oh,
canceled
yeah.
because of COVID. That whole round of
It was crushing.
U24. John didn't play
Okay.
his middle one. He played when he was like turning 24, and then
I'm
he
not
played
sure
when he was,
anybody
like 19.
has done three.
Or the U24
Yeah,
team.
three U24s. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's ever done it that I know of.
Well, yeah, it was like me and Claire
Yeah.
Trope were gonna be. Yeah, it was gonna be us. We were
Damn.
next up, you know. And now we've
Yeah.
fallen off.
The chosen ones.
Yeah.
Is Declan young enough to have a chance? He's on the
He
men's
might
team
be.
as a freshman.
Oh yeah, maybe. We'll see. Yeah.
Honestly, speaking of the list we were just talking about, Joe, you were definitely on that list. Now that I think about it, like you were 100% on my list,
Dude,
for sure.
I was an unheralded incoming freshman at Carlton College.
No,
Don't get it twisted.
you've been like the golden boy of ultimate for
true.
a long time.
I feel like since you were a
It
freshman,
changed
kinda
fast.
like
Yeah,
prodigy.
Can-
Yeah.
actually,
So
'Cause,
you were on the
I
list.
played great.
can we talk about this 2017 Carlton team, by the way, and how stacked it was? I just have a
Yeah.
few names written down on the
Please.
doc. Your roommate, Tim Schock, Eric Taylor, Ethan Bloodworth, Saul.
Here, Alex, give
Yeah,
Yeah.
thumbs up.
Start
and
over.
thumbs
Start
down.
over, Mikey.
Okay, start over.
Yeah, start
Wait,
over.
what am I?
I'm gonna
What
do
am
it
I
too.
grading?
It just vibes, you know.
Okay, vibes.
All right. Joe's roommate, Tim Schock. World Games alternate, Eric Taylor. Ethan Bloodworth. Bouncy guy. He's a bouncy defender. Saul.
Overrated. So overrated.
Is it
I'm
Yannick
sorry.
or am I pronouncing that right?
Yannick.
Henry
Yeah.
Fisher. Dylan Lanier. Stanley Birdsong. I'm just talking guys who have made finals or won.
Alex, you didn't go down once.
You just love everybody.
Well, I have nothing
Chilkins.
against those people. Chilkins. I have nothing against those people. I think a lot of those people aren't as
So
good.
everybody's still
as-
is Stanley still active?
Yeah, Stan. I think he was injured last club season, but he was like around with Sakai. He was like going to be rostered, and then everyone else you have listed here is like still playing on a very good club team. But then,
and
yeah,
big roles too.
you didn't write down the best player at nationals on our team that year,
Alex Olson. I did. Actually,
Yeah.
Bob and I
What happened
talked
to
about
him?
Alex
Where'd he
Olson.
go?
Stopped playing. He just stopped playing.
Into the abyss.
That's why I
huh?
didn't write him down.
Interesting.
Yeah, he makes pottery now in New York City.
Oh, that's cool. I respect
Yeah.
that. I respect
Was he
that for
actually the
young
best
boys.
player on your team?
Yeah, and then like I think at that tournament,
He was the
yes.
center
Like,
handler.
Yeah, he
yes.
was. Yeah,
He was the reason we won. Like,
Wow.
no one else besides him and Ben Sadok were the only two guys who could throw in that semifinal when it was so windy. We played UMass, and
Oh,
Alex
yeah.
was just throwing like these crazy hucks up and down wind. No, he was insane at that tournament. That's like the best I have ever seen him play, and he played. It was like I trusted him with anything.
On the topic of 2017 Nationals, do you remember? So we played you guys. Third game of the first day, knocked us out. Do you remember just skying the pants off of me? But I caught it, and you called strip immediately and went to the observer. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I didn't remember
That
it
was
was you,
me.
but I remember that happened to
Yeah.
someone, and the observer gave
you the call because you
Yeah.
went to him.
Yeah.
I caught it, but I think it was definitely a strip. And I came down with it, and you were just like strip, went to the observer like immediately, and the observer was like, "Yep, strip." And it was just like the most devastating thing ever.
Oh, sorry, Quinn. I do remember that
though.
Did Ken show you the photo? There's a photo
Yes,
from
dude.
MLC our freshman year of me
I
skying.
do not remember that one,
Yeah.
which is weird because I remember a lot of
I don't
stuff.
remember the play,
but
I remembered the photo.
Yeah.
Like when we were talking about it, I was like,
That's
oh, shit,
so
like,
funny. I mean, you were so much better than me
It
then.
is funny.
You'll get me
It's
soon.
funny. It's funny just because like Quinn athletic, but 0-2 against Joe in the deep space. Kins unathletic, 1-0 against Joe in the deep space.
Damn.
It's just like
Damn.
weird how some of these
I mean,
things don't add up.
But at this
That's on
time, I will say Joe was a far better player than I was at that time. Like,
Joe, you said you have footage of that game?
I put it in the chat.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, here I'll put it again.
I'll pull it.
Sorry.
I see it. I'll see it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
grab
there you
that. I'm gonna
go.
try to find the clip of you skying Quinn.
It's like shitty elevated tripod footage, but yeah,
it's like
you
a
can.
huck along the right sideline, or something like that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, I do
all
feel
right,
like
Joe.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go, because I'm gonna switch the topic completely. So get your thoughts out.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that like 2018 and 2019, the delta between like me and other people who were my age was like
massive.
pretty big. I was like, because I could just like do it all offensively, and then like since COVID, like it's not that I haven't gotten better, it's just that like everyone else has gotten way better, which has been good for me because I didn't. Yeah, humbling.
So you got to step it up, Joe. Come on, man.
Oh, absolutely,
lifting
dude.
heavy.
Like I've been lifting
Lifting
a
heavy
lot
things.
recently, Alex.
Well, you never know.
Ooh, maybe this is the motivation to get Joe in the gym.
To go back to that, I'm shocked about like how you don't lift heavy things and you're the player that you are. To be frank, it's quite impressive.
Yeah,
quite impressive.
I don't lift.
You don't have to lift
maybe.
heavy.
I mean,
it is.
Lift
It's a good. Yeah. It's a good
heavy
habit,
is relative.
But heavy is relative
Yeah.
too. That is true. Okay, Joe, you played your first year in the AUDL. Kind of like surprise appearance. First, maybe talk about that, because did you not just like kind of come out of the woodworks like late into the season?
Yeah. So Tim and I were in France, and
right.
Dalton was hitting us up, and he was like, "You guys should come back and play. We can easily win the division. We can go to championship weekend. It'll be fun. You can play like 3 games." And I was like, "All right, I'll do it." So I played against like the Alley Cats, the Wind Chill, and I think that was it for I think I played 2 regular season games.
Yeah.
It was like fun. I had a good time.
Seemed like you
I played
enjoyed it.
defense though.
Seemed like you enjoyed it. It seemed like you enjoyed those like finals appearances. You had a little get up going on. Like I'd never seen Joe White glasses
The
dangling
glasses were
earring
swag.
before. I had
Oh
never
yeah.
seen that before. Was that a European transformation? Dangly earring?
No, dude, I'm just constantly trying to like reinvent
yeah.
my aesthetic on the field. So
The
it's
dangly
gotta be something new every
the
year.
dangly was nice. It was shiny. With the glasses, it's like, are you like what like are those are those helping you or are those purely for aesthetics?
Those were actually so Vic Luo gave those to me, and they like stayed on my face so well. I've never had a pair of glasses that just sort of like gripped my face, you could say. They were really nice. I had them like on top of my hat during the
Yeah.
semis and finals though. Or during the finals I did because it was too dark, but I wore them while I was delivering on my bike all the time because they're just like comfortable and
I love that. I love
help
that,
me
like, as
see.
an ultimate player, you can wear glasses that you wear on your bike delivering stuff and also in the
Yeah.
finals of the ADL championship game.
Dude, well, like Leandro wore those glasses in like
hmm
the year before, and he looked like the fucking Terminator, and I was like, he
And he
looks
also
so
left
cool.
the tag
I
on his
need to try to
jersey
do
too.
it.
It's just
Now all the
Yeah,
Oregon
yeah.
boys do
Yeah.
that. Or is it just him and Will?
uh,
Is that
the
cool?
glasses thing or the tag. I think the glasses thing is just him and Will.
The
The
tag.
Yeah.
the glasses thing.
Is the tag
The
thing
It's
tag
cool
cool?
when
thing.
you're
Got
lay,
the
but it's
got the
not
tag on.
like it's only cool when you're lay. You know.
Yeah.
But okay, now going off that question, Joe, where do you see Ultimate shaking out 10 years from now? Hypothetical, you're 35. Where is Ultimate in terms of where is the elite level of Ultimate being played in terms of club, the AUDL? What does it look like?
I think what Mike said earlier is like correct. Like I think that at the highest level, whether it be club or AUDL, will be more of a single game format or at most 2 games a day. Like I think a whiff diff tournament's like pretty optimized in terms of like how much rest you're getting, how like prepared you are for each game. But the thing is, a whiff diff tournament is just like a week long, yeah, and we all have jobs, so I don't know how that's gonna work, but I feel like 2 games a day playing to 15. Like I love the 2-15 format much more than the AUDL 4 quarters open-ended buzzer beater format. Um,
I can get
and I'd
behind
be
that.
down to like throw it back to like 2005 and play to like
21.
21.
That is AUDL. That's basically what
That would
AUDL
be
is.
sick.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like those old Power Pools games where they're playing to like a ridiculous number that you don't know what it is.
I honestly do think that
Um,
games should be longer than 15. Like
Mhm.
competitive ones, because you go on one run, maybe 2 runs. It's rare that you have time to come back.
It should be like the pool play games or like the not as important games should be to 15, and then the important ones should be like 18 or something.
When I was young enough and good enough to be playing in whiff diff tournaments, those games were to 17 actually, and that was
Sure.
pretty good. I remember being up like 14-12 and feeling like the game was over because in a USAU game,
Yeah.
it basically is. Well,
it's
Yeah.
about to be
usually,
over.
but then all of a sudden it's 15-15 or 15-16, and it is surprisingly different, just adding 2 more points to
Yeah.
the point cap.
Joe,
Don't
do
hit
you
us with that
think
old person talk. I
Sorry,
hate
dude.
that.
do you think the AUDL will I kind of think the AUDL will surpass club in terms of importance for players and overall talent level in probably 10 years ish. Do you think that's realistic?
I think it's winning. That's
Yeah.
the extent of the answer I'll give you. Like I think the ADL is like
Mhm.
continuing to like look better every year and like be more attractive to players, just because like financially it makes way more sense. The level of
Yeah.
frisbee is definitely getting
Yeah.
better compared to what
Yeah.
it used to be.
It feels like
I don't know.
it feels like
Yeah.
kids these days. Um are liking the AUDL more than they like club. Like,
It's too hard to follow.
yeah,
club if they don't know
when
what
you
it
tell
is.
a younger person that you won a club
Yeah.
championship, they're like, I don't care, you didn't win an AUDL championship. And it's like, it's like when those people
Yeah.
are the main people in frisbee, it's probably going to be AUDL over club.
Yeah, I coached a camp last summer, a cut camp, and like all the kids knew AUDL. None of them knew what none of them knew what
That's
I
tournament
remember
insane.
was.
maybe
They all knew
it
what
might have
game
been
was.
Nut telling the story, or somebody was telling a story about a cut camp, and it's about Dylan Freechild, and Dylan was by far the best player and the best coach, or most decorated coach at the camp, and the kids were oohing and ahhing over some AUDL players. I don't recall who, and they were like, "Who do you play for?" And Dylan said, I play for Sockeye." And they were all like, "Who's that? Like, what is that?" And then he said something like, "Well, I did play for the Roughnecks." And then they're like, "Oh, awesome!" Because nobody like Sockeye is like his another storied franchise, right? My ideal world is if somehow the AUDL could absorb like existing brands. I think Sockeye is a brand.
Yeah.
Machine is a
Definitely.
brand at this point.
I heard one kind of thing that was like you could do what they do in Europe with the soccer teams, where there's like divisions and you can get relegated.
That
So
would-
like a club team
that would
could
be
go up
sick,
into the
dude.
AUDL if they were good enough,
I mean,
or the AUDL
this
teams
is
could
kind
get
of what
relegated.
USAU tried to do with the Triple
Yeah.
Crown.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, that's what French Nationals is. They're like 3 divisions, and you get relegated or brought up to divisions 2 or
Oh my
3
God.
or 1, I guess.
That's so sick.
I
And
love
the-
that. I love that so
Yeah,
much.
and the French Nationals format is 3 weekends of 4 games each weekend of you just doing a
Oh,
round robin with the 10 games in your 10 teams in your division.
And there's no finals or anything?
So you seed into
Okay.
semis and finals, and those are the last 2 games of phase 3.
Right.
That's sick.
That's cool.
But yeah, it is cool. It's really cool. I played in phase 2 and phase 3, or phase 2.
I love that. Joe, if you were the commissioner
Whoa.
of the AUDL, what changes are you making to
I'm bringing in
increase
oil money.
popularity of the sport? I love that. Like, you're going to the
Yeah.
Saudis.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, we're going straight to the Arabian Peninsula, and we are getting a bunch of money.
Honestly, you should talk to them about that. But what else would you do? Like,
Oh,
like
I'm
in terms of
definitely making the field smaller and changing some rules where buzzer beaters aren't a thing anymore.
Oh, you don't
I
like
don't
the
know.
buzzer
I don't
beater?
know the best. I hate buzzer beaters. I think buzzer beaters are like a bastardization of the game.
it's
Personally.
Why?
It's just like if making a half court shot in basketball to win a game was like way more likely.
yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Because you got like the yachts and everyone who just New York
Yeah,
has
and
won
like
twice.
mhm.
I share a lot
I
of the
don't know.
same opinions about it. There is something nice about it though too. There is excitement around it. It's definitely different. It's not a purist form for sure. I think I'm at the point where I'm just want to embrace change, or just be supportive of whatever is out there as an option, even though I kind of like the way the WUL does it. I think they just don't. I know they can't have buzzer beaters, but I actually don't know exactly how it works.
I think there's like when the time runs out, you get a chance to score, and if you don't, the other team gets a chance to score, or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Where it's like
Right,
possession,
right.
like the end of
Yeah,
the
that is what
the
it is.
possession following that one, the game it's
Yeah.
terminated. But I don't know. At that point, it's like too long, and I don't know.
Yeah.
There's got to be some middle ground, I guess.
I mean, why not play why can't you play to a score? I mean, could that not work? Is there some spectator aspect of it that playing to a number isn't
I've gone through this
entertaining?
thought experiment a few times, and I don't know if any of these formats would work, but I've like, what if it was like a tennis style where you have sets and matches and sets and
Dude,
just play a bunch of games?
that would be sick.
and alternate like who's serving or who's pulling. I don't know. I don't know if it would work or not. But you could play to like a total or like have a series of games.
I do like playing to a number. There is something nice about that. I think refs are. I used to be anti-ref, and now I'm pro-ref at a
Agreed.
high level. I think that, and I loved what self-officiating, what the values that self-officiating taught me as a young ultimate player growing up.
Huh.
Wait, Alex, are you a legacy frisbee kid? Did your parents play frisbee?
Yes, yes, my
Mine too.
dad.
Or my dad played frisbee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have those like, that background in me where I love, some good old fashioned ultimate. That being said, I really think at the highest levels, I don't mind refs. And I think that you can still have a big emphasis be on spirit of the game. Like it's not as much the calling, like the calls aspect. Because even I was talking to someone today, like you have observers, like they make active calls. You've lost some aspect of spirit of the game not spirit of the game, but of self officiating at the highest level. So like, why not, if you're truly trying to make it spectator friendly, why not just have these third parties officiating you and still emphasize not being a dick? You can still have the integrity rule, all of these things, and have that be like one of your differentiating factors of ultimate. Because the other thing about, and maybe I don't know if we've talked about this on the pod, but like people don't know the rules. So how can you have it be self officiated and people don't know the damn rules it's kind of silly. And I think that more young people could be involved in the changing of ultimate, because I think, like you said, Quinn, a lot of the young people are kind of excited to play pro ultimate and to have the opportunity to get paid. And I think a lot of the people making the decisions on where the sport is going and like what the sport is doing are more stuck in the ways of what ultimate has traditionally been.
Yeah, so embracing change is not something that they're going to be as excited about.
No, I don't think it gets them excited at all. I think they want to keep ultimate the way it is. And I just think for younger people, that's not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
In a
like,
lot of ways, it makes sense too. I mean, we've talked about this before, Kins, how they've USAU has owned that space for 40 years plus. So it is a big shift. It would be nice if there was more just cooperation, I think, and understanding like we're all trying to grow the sport in some way.
Yeah, and some people just want it to look a different way.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like the refs, I think like the self officiating for a lot of like the old heads, like my dad even probably too. Like, I don't know where he lies on like if the highest level was going to be officiated, but he's old, and
Let's
so
get
he
him on the
probably
pod.
doesn't.
Let's get him
he
on the
probably
pod.
Yeah, my dad has played since like 76, and he likes the AUDL.
He does. He's okay with refs.
He thinks it's cool. Yeah, he's
is
all
cool.
for like growth of the sport in whatever way or shape it comes, which I appreciate.
Yeah. That's generally where I fall as well.
But yeah, but maybe I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like, would you, if Joe, a team was going to pay you like $20,000 to play ultimate, but you couldn't play club, are you doing it?
Ooh. Probably, yeah. As long as like I'm not like an indentured servant for them, like doing things for them all season. This is me going to practice and playing games. That's not me. Like,
But you have to lift heavy
running their
weights.
youth camps, like doing like the Bo Kittredge, go to a middle school and teach a gym class. Like, I won't do that. But
what if you had to lift
I would lift
weights?
weights. I would do it. Yeah.
Because you don't have
I'm
anything at that
interested in
point.
improvement.
Yeah, at that point you have nothing else to do. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know. I think also like that's just like a dream of mine would be, and I don't think that'll ever be realized.
Go
in my
chase
life.
your bag, bro. I think
No,
there's someone out there who'd pay you some money, man.
There's not teams, and like honestly, I've talked about this not on the pod, like with Quinn before. Like, I just don't think right now it's not at a place where you can pay people to play because there's no having good players on your team doesn't make you profitable. Like you winning AUDL games or winning anything like doesn't make you money. It doesn't make you like
The
a
fans
significant
aren't
amount of
paying
money
that close of attention.
Yeah.
for that return on the
Yeah,
investment.
you're
to
just
make
hemorrhaging
sense.
more money.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think about this too because disc golf blew up. COVID, hella money in disc golf. Like these players, like Paul Macbeth, like 10 years,
It's so
$10 million
stupid, though.
contract,
Is it $1 million? It's $1 million per year.
$1
Wow.
million per year. Like
That's crazy. I
Ricky
didn't know that.
Wysocki, 4 years, dude.
I hate
I'm
disc
ready to
golf.
like. I think it makes me think about
Make the jump.
dude. Fuck it. Like, but it's also easier to pay players in disc golf because also like they sell Discraft, Innova, like those companies sell a frick ton of discs. Like they sell
And
a
there are
lot of
like so
discs.
few people at the top. And like
I've talked to.
how
There's a
are
I
you
have an
gonna pay?
opinion about
There's
this.
a lot of people at the top.
I think
though.
there's a missing market for marketing ultimate players. I mean, the three of you, for instance, are three of the top players in the game right now, and I don't understand why B Ultimate isn't just at least having like why is there no like Joe White T-shirt? Somebody like
that would be sick.
It says
I would buy
what's
that.
the
Actually,
It
I
con?
says
wouldn't buy
Joe
that, but
Flight
kids would
across the
buy it.
chest. That's all it says.
Yeah. Oh, I like
It's
that.
got instead of the dot on the eye, it's got your hair above it.
Oh man, we
done.
Yeah, like my
Okay,
little
we
mom.
will make
And a
this
pair of
t-shirt.
sunglasses.
Yeah.
We're making it. The first pod T-shirt is of
We're
Joe
making
White. Joe Flight.
And then, so can we do that shirt? And then my shirt is me skying Joe.
Yeah, just like a really
That's-
grainy image on the
Yeah,
front, Alex by me, and on the back is the picture of him holding it out. Yeah.
I'm dead serious
That would
about
be
this
funny.
though. Well, dead serious about two things. I want this T-shirt made, and I want to wear it. Joe will send you one. Two, I think that there are enough top players who have enough recognition and name power that it cannot hurt to at least try sponsoring a player. You don't have to give them much. I don't like if there was like a Jimmy Mickle Discraft print or something, you know, like
No, you know what I think it would have to be? I think it would have to be cleats because the difference is in disc golf, you're playing with the frisbees. They're different, and you want the frisbees that the pro is
That's
using.
true.
Like, you want the disc that Paul is throwing because that's sick. And also, Paul's the best. And if you get that disc, like you get a little bit of Paul in you. You know what I mean? And so, and so if you got cleats that Quinn was wearing, that Joe was wearing, then that's kind of cool because it's like an NBA shoe. You know what I mean? Like they don't do NBA basketballs, but they do shoes.
so Toke.
So
Let
I
me
think
call up
cleats.
Nike.
Toke needs to.
I
Let me
think
get
it-
Nike on the phone.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think it
My
would have to be
universe point Joe White
Nike.
ones.
Dude, that would. But wouldn't that be tough? But like, it has to be a good cleat. I don't like the universe
They
points
suck.
cleats, and I haven't really
They're
wear
so
the.
shitty.
I haven't really done the
also suck.
Toke guys, but I think
would
some
be sick.
cleats would be cool, and I think that's where you could get people because then kids could play in their Joe White cleats, and that would be kind of hype, you know. And maybe they get a little Joe's game in them, you know what I mean?
That's
Well, okay.
I like
Okay. How about yeah, I guess you're right. It has to be cleats. I was thinking Kiko socks.
It's got to be
Yeah.
cleats.
Probably not performance
No.
enough.
Yeah, and jerseys just aren't. It's not. We're not big enough
I
for
don't know.
jerseys. I think cleats is the way to go, and it honestly baffles me that no one's. I mean, I guess clearly people have made an attempt at making ultimate cleats, but like, could we really not convince Nike to make some ultimate specific cleats or Adidas? Someone has to have a connection. There's got to be a
Matty
connection
Jackson's
somewhere.
dad works for Nike.
Maybe there should be a. Okay, so what? So can we do that? Like, is that the connection? I think some good cleats of like light athletic cleats. What kind of cleats do you wear, Joe? Soccer or football?
I've worn Audi Zero football cleats for the last 6 years.
We are the same.
I fucking
That's
hate
so
those
crazy.
cleats. Those
That's
cleats
so
suck,
weird.
dude.
Last season I was wearing the Audi Zero 1.0s from like 2004 or 2005 that I got off eBay. Yeah, they're.
You ever get the
sick,
prime
like,
knit?
so
Joe, you
tight.
ever had the prime knit?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, I gotta put you onto the prime knit. Dude,
What's
if
the
you
prime
can find
knit,
yourself
bro?
Oh,
It's an
dude.
Audi
Yeah,
Zero.
bro.
It's
Send it
type.
to me.
It's a type of Addy Zero, and it's
Hold it
prime knit. I got 2 pairs sitting in my room. Oh wait.
Yeah, go grab them. Go grab them. Let me see the Kins ones.
It's a good thing we can't see anything.
And
Oh,
the difference is they get this little knitting
upper.
kinda light pattern.
It's
at the
prime
top.
knit.
Very light.
Get your
prime
mouth
it is
knit.
on the
prime knit.
mic again.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, another divisive topic in the Bravo Slack. There's a huge Nike contingent. Now Under Armour is coming
No,
around.
not New Balance, not Under Armour.
Oh.
New Balance.
New Balance. Sorry, New
New
Balance.
Balance.
Yeah.
The freeze.
High Five was big into the Warrior cleats that you could get for like $15.
Rowan still wears those.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
they're
terrible.
awful.
I had a pair of them. They broke in
Yep.
one day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cody Spicer, what he had.
Oh my god.
I don't even remember.
They were
I'll have to pull up a photo. Brava.
yeah. He
Brava.
said he got them for $20.
What do you think of
Yeah.
Cody Spicer, Joe? As someone who's not in, like, what do you think of that
He doesn't
guy?
listen, so.
Dude, that guy's so nice. That guy's like I've never seen him be mean to anyone. I like him. I thought he was like not very good for a while, and then this
I
year
thought the
I was
same
like,
thing,
oh, he's
dude.
pretty good.
I was.
That's kind of yeah. I've never spoken to him. I felt really bad when we
Yeah,
heard
dude.
him.
That was.
Oh,
That's the
That
most
was
I ever
bad-
thought about
bad,
Cody
though.
Quinn. Yeah, it was really bad. I don't have many thoughts on Cody.
It's funny because he is so low key
So-
good though. Like as a defender,
He is.
I
yeah,
think most people just don't get it because he's so like. I mean, he's probably the best. He's definitely the best. I don't know. Yeah, I can't think of anyone better.
I think he's great at defending smaller mids, people who want to come back to the disc,
Yep.
and any
Sure.
sort of handler.
Sure.
Like I think
he's got
that
the size.
he wouldn't do very well on me or a bigger guy who really wants to score deep a lot.
Whoa, we're gonna have to get
but-
that matchup.
He did.
And I'm
he
gonna
did
Maybe.
argue at
we're gonna have
least
to
once.
clip
I kind
that
of agree
too.
though with Joe.
It's not his strength.
It's
Like
definitely
I
not-
think he'd do a good job as when I'm staying in like the midfield and closer to the disc, but I just think he's not.
no his.
I haven't seen him like run, big.
His
lines
strength is
too
his
much.
lateral quickness. His lateral
Mhm.
quickness is
Yeah.
absurd for how big he is and kind of like bulky. His lateral,
Yeah.
it's very.
And I feel like his offensive game I didn't appreciate until this year, and I was like, "Whoa, he's
Game
more
manager.
effective."
Game
Yeah,
manager. for
exactly.
sure.
Game manager,
Methodical.
yeah.
He's like a less exciting Pavel with the disc.
No
Yeah,
mistakes.
yeah. He was not going to give it back.
Cool.
That's for sure.
All right, I got a
Cool,
good
maybe,
question. Hang on.
Yeah.
So I like asking frisbee players this. What's your favorite play that you've ever made, and then your favorite play that you've ever seen someone else make? It can be any play, a D, a throw, a catch, anything. You can put emphasis on the magnitude of the play or just how sick it was, like whatever you want.
Great Lakes Regionals last year of High Five, 2018. We're down 11-9, pulling to Machine. We're down 11-10. I think we're down 11-10. We're down 1. They're receiving. Game's capped at 12. I'm like backside help on the far side. We're forcing forehand. I'm like kind of deep, but also on the break side. And Keegan calls a switch for me. Kurt's going deep, and Pavel like jacks it to him. And I just like chase down Kurt and
Hell
cookie
yeah.
him over his shoulder for a D.
That's the
Yeah.
best kind of play to make, honestly.
Especially on Kurt.
Yeah, and it was
Especially
like
on Kurt. That's sick.
yeah, it's awesome. I have,
you have video?
Here. I can send it
Oh,
quickly
so
for
good.
you. Yeah, I do. I gotta find the timestamp. Best play I've ever seen live. When we played Revolver in 2021, Johnny Mansfield. It was 14-14 Universe Point. Johnny
yeah.
Mansfield.
Oh
got the
my
block on
God,
Adam Reese.
dude.
On the
there.
He
open
does
side.
That. He does that.
Do you think?
Yeah. It was like.
Have you rewatched the
stupid.
your semi against Pony when he got the layout block, hand block on Keegan on Sean Keegan and Keegan.
Yeah, I know it. I know what play you're talking about.
Dude.
Yeah.
You have an opinion on if that one was a foul or not?
It's one of those plays where it's like a foul earlier in the pivot, but not a foul on the release of the throw, which I feel like even now in USAU, it's like a gray area,
Mm-hmm.
even if the rules say it is or isn't a foul. But he did foul him like at some point during the pivot. As to whether that's the throwing motion or not, that's for God to decide, I guess. Not me.
I've talked to Keegan at length about that play. I'm sure you can guess what his thoughts are.
Yeah, I love talking to Keegan. That's one of my favorite people to just go up to at a tournament and have a conversation with, because he's like so out of pocket and like just keeps on talking.
He
Like you
flipped
don't
us
need to
off
really
from the sideline
respond.
this year.
We'll probably have him on the
Yeah.
pod at some point, Quinn. He's
When you played him
Yeah,
at Pro Champs? I have never played New York on Bravo, and I'm really excited for that matchup. Never played Ring either.
All right.
You got
really
it?
excited for that matchup as well.
You've never played Ring? Yeah, I just dropped it in there. That's
No.
timestamp.
I played them once on Patrol a long time ago. This was my first club
Mikey,
year.
pull this up for us.
Or my first good club year.
all right. I'll turn the sound off.
Let's break down
I
this
thought
footage.
Joe, I thought you were going to say your favorite play was, I never actually saw this, but I think at Co-Cup, it was probably like 2017, 2018. I think you were playing for High Five. You skied the pants off Jimmy, is what I heard. I never saw it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, I just got him really bad. But it was like a stupid.
Yeah,
Like Johnny
and
threw
it
me
was
the
just
worst
like,
huck possible.
yeah,
And I just like
but that's
tagged him.
sick.
Yeah. No. But at the time, people on High Five like didn't know I was like very good. They were like, "Whoa, that's crazy."
Oh,
here we
this
go.
is
Yeah, we'll see how well I
it's
explain it.
perfect. Fading to your side.
Oh, my
over.
God.
And then the only thing is, if you had just held
Showed
the
it
disc
to
up
him.
as you were walking back to the line. God,
Yeah.
that would have scared.
I did this same thing to Cole Jarrett in 2019 at the US Open. Just like totally destroyed him like this. Like
this is a nice play.
This is it.
Pavel did not help him out here.
No, Pav kind of set him up for that a little bit.
Oh, with the left too. With the left.
Look at Bansfield.
Bansfield fist up.
Yeah, Johnny's just like,
Let's go.
and then we turn it over in like 3 throws.
Oh, perfect.
Like we have the chance to take it to Universe, and I think Paul throws it away, or Johnny does.
So watching you throw actually brings up another question I had in the doc about that half pivot air bounce IO backhand. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is that something that you have? Oh, there's the turn.
Oh, no.
Poor Paul.
Oh, John.
Yeah. Paul's like, oh no. I don't. So.
Do you recognize that as
Dom Schuster
what's
is?
that?
Do any of you guys know who Dom Schuster is? He played Junior Worlds in 2014. He played for the Franciscan University of Steubenville and won a D3 championship like 7 years ago. Just like out of nowhere.
That sounds like a fake place. Yeah. Doesn't sound real.
Well, I'll go one step further back. Do you guys know how like Cincinnati has the Holy Family Catholic kids, the homeschoolers who are really good at Frisbee?
No. You're blowing our minds right now, but we're following.
Okay. So when I was coming up in Cincinnati, we got second at YCC, my first year on the team. And that year, the Holy Family Catholic kids, it's like a homeschool conglomerate that when Youth Ultimate Cincinnati began in like 1998 or whatever, they formed as a team of like 20 or so families whose kids were just going to play Frisbee because they couldn't play normal high school sports. And these homeschool kids got really fucking good at Frisbee, but they're also like incredibly conservative and Catholic. And early 2010s, they were super fucking good. And I'm gonna out myself as this Frisbee nerd here, but they were probably the best high school team
Frisbee podcast
in 2014.
Too late.
Yeah, they beat Carolina Friends School, Saul's senior year, with all those guys on it who are now on
Mhm.
ring
Wow.
in the finals of the
Holy
Paideia
smokes.
Cup, and they were like the multi-world #1 high school team of the year, and then that's the year we got second. And Dom Schuster was the best player on the team. He's like this 5'10" cutter who just had this amazing air bounce backhand. And I remember watching that when I was like 14 or whatever and being like, that's so cool. Like he can just make the disc sit there. Like I want to be able to just make the disc, like I want to make it as easy as possible for my receiver to catch it whenever I throw it. And I think that's just been like my main focus as a thrower in like the short space,
So
the small box,
you
the
did
10-yard
have
box.
intentionality behind developing that throw.
That's sick.
Yeah, I would like go into because I threw it like to a tree in the backyard all the time in high school. And I would do two different things. I would try to hit the tree one, and then I would always try to make a throw like end at the
Mhm.
tree, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's not going forward
Yeah.
anymore, but it's like a totally catchable sort of like around floaty throw that just sort of like plops right down where the tree is.
Yeah, working on the touch.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something I started doing when I was really young.
That's a great tip for any of our young listeners.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good throwing, Joe, that people don't talk to about, but just trying to get it to go a distance.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, yeah, you just want it to like, and it's only a small box. I mean, hucking, you always do it because you're just throwing, to a spot. But when you're throwing in that 10-yard box, so many people just try to like throw through the person or just like to their chest really hard. But I think like if you're going to be breaking the mark in like any sort of nuanced way, you've got to be able to like really have it sit there and go to like that
100%.
tiny area that only your receiver can catch it.
You had two really nice ones, one around, one inside against us at nationals. It was your guys' first break, the second point, that around to Bansfield, which was super nice. But the one that I watched a bunch and I was like, wow, I kind of want to try this, was you guys were like probably 10 yards outside the end zone. You were on the sideline and you just kind of sat in your backhand pivot until I think Abe cut across field and you threw like this like upright air bounce. Like you got your hand to the ground, but you were so upright and you just air bounced it inside to Abe, and then Pavel scored the next throw. And I sat there and watched that throw, and I've actually been trying to throw that when I've been just practicing, just because I saw you throw that. I was like, that was sick. Like I want to do that.
I feel like I saw that throw come out at Summit Tryouts.
Oh yeah,
Quinn.
I try it now. I'm working on it. I'm actually
No, it's powerful.
Yeah.
The air bounce backhand.
Dude,
don't let anyone tell you
I
shouldn't
love
throw
it.
air bounce.
I air bounce my around like almost every time.
That is a classic coach
Oh, yeah.
thing. Frisbee coach, don't use an air bounce. I don't know why. I guess people just don't know how to
I think
control
the
it.
problem is you don't want their backhand to
bounce.
become
As a default. Yeah.
I never had a
But Dylan
then you get the
Freechild
kid
is
throwing
only
the
throwing
hop.
air bounce.
I never had a good backhand, so I started to air bounce it to make it a little bit different, and it helped me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, both of you, Quinn and Joe, use your length pretty well, and Joe, you have extra length. Is that something that you've intentionally worked? Like you do have the same kind of touch on the around. I think if you on the goal line a lot, probably what what's Quinn
I'm laughing at
about
kids
right
how upset he is that you didn't include him in this.
Yeah, he's mad. He's not linked.
Kid, well, you use your length for like high release stuff. These guys, Joe especially, uses footwork to extend around marks. We've talked about this, Kins. You need to work on this.
This is
Slander.
I can't take this fucking disrespect on my name. The dirt that's being thrown on my name this pod is unbelievable. To talk about length.
Yeah, you don't use your length
sentence.
well enough. You use only in the vertical planes. You do not use your length well enough in the horizontal planes.
True.
Anyway,
disagree, but
let
go
our
on.
guest speak. Joe, is this you're so good at it? Is this something that you were taught, just worked on naturally? Like I watch so many young throwers, and you think that they would figure this out, but maybe we just need to teach it more explicitly.
It was also something that I had a teammate my first year playing YCC who was like, just try to throw as far away from your body as you can. And I was like, oh, that's like a cool thing to try. And I think that's where it started, I guess. Was like, and then realizing that it had a practical application where if I did that, like you wouldn't be able to block it
Yeah.
if I'm trying to throw a break throw. But my forehand didn't used to be, I didn't used to have it. It was always only my backhand. But since then, I've gotten better at throwing the forehand further out, especially on a rounds.
What you said rings a bell with what Kins was mentioning on a different pod about when you're throwing to just try things and then you can find a way to use them. Did I lose you, Kins? Are you still upset, man?
Yes.
Sorry, dude.
I'm fuming over here, and I'm just gonna sit back and listen.
All right, we're rolling in on the 2-hour mark here, and I don't want to keep Joe forever. There is a question that I would like to get to that we mentioned before, and I'd love to get some perspective from you as top men's player, top player, and just a player in ultimate, really. What is it like being openly gay, and is there anything? Do you have any insight for people who might be going through something that they're not super comfortable with, or maybe discovering themselves, or is this something that you don't even think about at all?
Definitely don't think about it anymore. Just because, like, most of the people I play with, Frisbee's so small, like, they already know, and it's like something that doesn't really have to be a discussion in terms of like coming out. I will say playing in France is interesting because like French people are like not homophobic per se, but there's definitely like a different culture among like sports and being gay in sports, and that was like a new experience.
I would
But
have thought you were going to say that they were more open.
no, French people and French culture has like some conservative aspects that maybe might be surprising to Americans. But not to say that that was bad on that team or anything, but it's just like different the way like, yeah. I don't really think about it much anymore. Like, as I mentioned earlier with like the Holy Family kids, like Cincinnati is like a pretty conservative Frisbee community because so many of the people who play there still play there, like came out of that really religious and Christian background.
Mm-hmm.
So like I came out when I was 14, maybe 15 years old. But I never came out in Cincinnati Ultimate. Like I was never out on my high school YCC team. But ever since Carlton, it's been easy. Like it's definitely weird just because like I've played with maybe like 2 or 3 gay people ever.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, it's all straight guys. But I've also just always played sports.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's kind of a reality of men's sports in the US at every level. So it doesn't really feel novel in Frisbee. Frisbee, in my opinion at least, like the gay male experience in the sports, like pretty similar. I bet it'd be different in something like football or like if you get to like a more conservative area. But my experience playing like basketball and soccer as like a gay dude is pretty similar with Frisbee, I would say.
So that seems like a positive endorsement of the ultimate community.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that like it's not an unsafe place for gay people at all. I know there's like every now and then I'll see like a tweet, or I know there have been articles over the years about like where are the gay men in ultimate.
Yeah.
Like I remember reading one that like Will Neff wrote like when I was in high school, and I was like, that's so true. But I don't know, in my opinion, like, and I might get strung up for this, but Frisbee is like Frisbee's an expat sport. Everyone who plays Frisbee, or almost everybody besides like me and Alex, whose parents played Frisbee, comes to play ultimate through other sports, and they start when they're 14 years old or like 18 years old or when they're 23. And for most gay men, like the sports ship has sailed by the time they're like 12 or 13, just because like culturally there are a whole lot of incompatibilities there. Like gay men are just kind of like, for the most part, doing other things, whether it's and I don't know, I'm not gonna say why. Like, it's just deterrence for like, when you're gay and you don't get along with certain things or
Yeah.
whatever. I guess we'd rather like be eating brunch on a Sunday or like sleeping than going to frisbee practice.
Can I ask one more question about it?
Yeah, sure.
Assuming there is potentially someone, maybe there is someone who's 12 years old now that is coming into the sport and is going through that and has not left, is still trying to find their way. Do you have any perspective to offer, or is it not even worth mentioning?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't want to sound like a pessimist, but like frisbee isn't like I wouldn't necessarily call it like a haven for gay men as it is for lesbians, because like lesbians dominate our sport. They like 14 of them a year are winning a women's championship.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
yeah, and for gay men, it's like it's not the same. But I do think that like it is an incredibly progressive community where like people are super outspoken about like social issues and like want to make sure that like people of all identities are respected and brought together. So like I will always say that it's like a safe place for a gay person to be. But like I don't know, it's still sports, which I think for a lot of gay people, like sports are just like totally not what they want to do. Most of my gay friends, at least, it's like as soon as sports come on, they're like,
Not
"What are we
interested.
doing? Let's do something else." Yeah, exactly. Which is fine. I mean, that's just like what gay people are, I guess. Not a monolith, but
Oh. Well, I guess on the topic of maybe role models, as all three of you are, to segue topics, Kids has a question about mentors for all of you as
that's my
oh,
question.
really?
Yeah, Joe wanted to
Oh,
put this in. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
nice. Uh,
So Joe, why don't you go first then, since it's your question? You
Yeah.
probably have
Well, I
some.
was just thinking because, like, I was thinking about Alex, what you and I have in common, and we both came from a different community than the one we play in now. So, like, I'd imagine you have someone from when you were younger who you were like, oh, that person like taught me how to do this, and then, joining Bravo or joining Bird, this person taught me that. Quick hitters. I played with Eric Taylor my first year YCC, and he was the guy who like got me interested in Carlton. And we aren't super tight or anything, but he definitely like over the years taught me a ton about frisbee. Saul Yannick taught me it's okay to be that it's okay to be a frisbee nerd, and that like making frisbee a huge part of your life can be like a really good thing and be really rewarding.
I actually really do like that. Sorry to interject.
Yeah.
I do feel almost embarrassed by being a frisbee nerd at times.
Just depends where
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Depends what people are around you.
You got to know when to hide it. It can't come out. It can't come out like way too. That's the problem with a lot of frisbee nerds is that they're way too like ready to fess up that they're frisbee nerds in just about any
You gotta play it
situation.
cool.
Like, oh, remember when it was 8-9 against Revolver in 2009? Shut the fuck up.
All right, Saul. Sorry, who was next?
Saul and Eric. And then I would say like Johnny Bansfield, James Highsmith, and Paul Arders together. Those dudes are like, I came to High Five when I was 19, and they're all like 5 or 6 years older than me, and they were like, let's do this thing, let's do frisbee together, and I'm still doing frisbee with those three people. So
That's awesome. Yeah. That's
Those
Yeah.
guys are super good
Super.
too. Holy cow!
yeah.
I didn't know that you grew up in a different area than you live now. It is an interesting. Like, do you think because different areas play differently? Like,
Mhm.
you think you learned a lot going to? I think it helps a lot. Like even you just said it, and you kind of got me thinking. Like, it was such a different. I've learned so much about Ultimate here in Colorado that I did not play or think about when I was back in Philly, and it's helped me become a more balanced player because you have just more
Yeah.
things in your head.
Well, I
But
feel like I kind of got like two ends of a pole. Like when I was in Ohio after my first year of YCC, it was like I've got to do everything, and that was what I thought every time I stepped on the frisbee field. And then go to Carlton, and I'm like a cog in the machine. And I feel like now it's trying to combine those two things, and like I still have like the wildness of when I was like 16 playing high school and like throwing a hammer every other touch I had, but also wanting to like complete an under and clear space at the same time.
Kins had the same exact take on an earlier pod about playing youth and the transition.
Yeah, like I think about a player like Dylan Lanier, who like that dude has never played on a bad frisbee team in his life. And like he's an amazing frisbee player, but he's so comfortable being the fifth guy on an O line. Like that's what he's always been. Yeah.
He's so good.
It's
at
just
it.
like a totally different experience than what I've had as a frisbee player.
yeah, it's nice to have the balance though. As long as it's hard, you got to work it. You got to kind of you have to balance them out, because you want to throw those things that you used to throw in high school, and it's so fun. And you do every once in a while. You threw that one against the and that's why I thought I asked are you throwing that crazy big backhand at 11-11? But that
Dude,
even shows that you do
maybe
somewhat,
next year, man.
Maybe. I mean, I think you should, dude. I think you should be playing.
Yeah. You
I
want
don't
me
know.
to?
I support that style of play. I throw some shit at all times, but that's because otherwise you can get in your head. You got to play how you. I mean, obviously, like I want to play smart and I don't want to throw ridiculous shit, but at the same time, like the best when I'm playing the best, I'm not thinking at all. You're just kind of acting on what is in front of you, and that is it's a beautiful way to play.
Yeah.
Kins.
So Kins,
who are your mentors?
Yeah, I mean, first, probably my dad. That's an easy one because he coached me for a long time growing up. God, there's so many. Like a lot of my dad and a lot of his friends, just because they would, it was hard like getting those guys to throw after their summer league games, and because they had all just played a game, and there's this like annoying like little kid like, yeah, throw, like you want to throw a frisbee with me? You want to run around with me? and it's funny because now I'm that guy. Like we have little kids who will like come up to us after the game and want to throw and stuff.
Shout out Caleb
and I
and
think
Maddie,
it makes
by the
me.
way.
Shout out Caleb and Maddie, and it makes me better about being like, you know what, I will toss with you because like I see myself in you as like that little kid that wanted to throw. And then we talked about it a little on the pod, like Billy Sickles from Patrol, whose brother plays at Vermont now, maybe Johnny Sickles, but he was a great competitor and really fun to be on a team with, and I looked up to him a lot. Then some great coaches like we talked about this on the pod a little bit before, but I do like Bob's ability to stick it to me when I was
keeps it real,
getting a little out of control, because like those were just and then honestly, like Quinn, you talked about it. Like I think actually I was thinking about this, Joe, when you sent me this message. Like I think I get a lot of little things from everyone, right? Like Quinn, I take his work ethic, and I try to emulate that, and like Jarv and Plow, like their kindness and their empathy and their like emotional intelligence of like how they treat other people and how they make other people feel. Like I think from a lot of different people, I get a lot of different things. Like Buck being my younger roommate. But like our ability to talk to each other about ultimate and give each other feedback and not take it personally and know that it's coming from a perspective of like we want to be the best players that we can, and talking to other people can really help with that. I think that's a big one. And just like all those guys in college, like maybe I was just super impressionable growing up during those years, but like I had such a big impact from those older guys, like Isaac Chesler, like that little guy, like just so. I think the biggest impact were the kind people, because I was a little less emotionally intelligent. I had a problem of like speaking everything that was on my mind, and they have helped me a lot in just being more conscious of other people, and my evolving into Chillkins, which I feel like Chillkins is just a
Facade.
character on this pod, because then I go through life and I'm like, Chillkins doesn't, like, I, as much as I would love to be Chillkins, like there's no way Chillkins will ever like truly exist for long periods of time without like a great amount of effort.
I can kind of go a little bit in order. But my start to Frisbee was kind of interesting because I didn't really have it at my high school. So my first organized team, like I played summer leagues and stuff like that, but my first organized team was YCC. I can't even remember which year, but Will Laurie was my teammate on that team. And dude, like he was like my first person. I was like, wow, like there's a bunch of good Frisbee players in the world, because I had no idea. So Will was like my first role model, I would say, honestly. I don't even know if I've ever told him that, but and then I know, I gotta tell him that.
Yeah, you gotta
and then
tell him
going to
that.
college, obviously Plow, obviously Isaac, but Josh Crane and Mark Kaler were also big for me, because I was a freshman on an O-line of 6 other fifth years. And that was difficult, because especially because a lot of them weren't super nice to me. But Josh and Mark were always had my back and always very nice to me, and they helped me a lot. And I'll also say that the people that weren't very nice to me also helped me a lot too, because I respond well to that type of stuff. And it just made me want to be better. Like kind of like what you guys were saying with not making the U19 team. Like it helped you guys like become better players. And then going to club, I don't think I can go a podcast without mentioning Ben Laurie in some positive light, but
probably the most mentioned non-pod.
Yeah,
both
dude,
the Lauries
yeah.
too.
And I mean,
that's so I guess shout out to Phil.
Yeah.
For
And Phil was my coach in high school too. So the whole Laurie family.
Hey, we might as well shout out Lizzie while
seriously.
we're talking about the Lauries.
But Ben, I think, probably has had the single most biggest impact on my game and my Frisbee life. When I like came onto Bravo and was just like playing D-line, I guarded Ben every single practice, every single point, every chance I had, because he was the best player on the team, and I wanted to beat him. I wanted to, compete with him. And then other people, Daryl Stanley, I've said this, had a massive impact on my game in the short time I was coached by him. But yeah, the single most is definitely Ben Laurie. Like, can't say enough good stuff.
Maybe I'll do one. I never do these.
Yeah, Mikey, come on, dude.
Because nobody really remembers.
This is wholesome.
So
good,
I
wholesome
played
content.
when I was in college at Iowa State. I played for CLX, the mixed team, and it was like the year after its inception. So my first year playing club was 2004. We made mixed finals. The only time I touched the disc was off a deflection, and I caught it for a goal. So I didn't throw a single pass. That was the only time I touched the disc. I played 1 point in finals. I remember Austin Gangle, who played a year of Bravo, actually. He said, "Just don't get beat deep." And then I proceeded to immediately get beat deep in finals. But from that era, really, there's this guy named Kevin Sealer, and if you ever find footage of 2004 mixed finals, CLX against Shazam, he makes this.
I've been looking for it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Someone listening, get that to Joe. Someone listening, get that to Joe. We gotta watch
Please
that.
send it to me.
We'll find it. But
Saul, shout out Saul. Let's get Saul Yannick.
Frisbee Nick Saul, please find this footage.
He's got it saved.
I actually
on his
might
laptop.
be able to find the clip. But this other guy, Dave Carson, throws this hammer, which is really just a blade. Probably like a 30, 40-yard cross-field hammer, and it's coming in just straight edge. And Kevin, full extension layout, catches it for a goal. It was like the sweetest moment of my nascent Frisbee career to see that happen in person. And he was definitely my mentor and mentor for a lot of actually Still top women's player. Like Megan Liu played for him in college. Becca, Ben's wife, Becca, played for him at Iowa State, and so did Sarah Pesch, who's playing Alpenglow and Shame. He brought up a lot of really, really good women's player. I mean, men's players too. I mean, I looked up to him for a long, long time. And then if I were to switch to coaching, even though I coached, actually, have I told you this? I coached in the very first ESPN filmed game, 2013 semis.
Whoa.
College.
I didn't know
We
that.
lost to Oregon. This is when I was coaching Iowa, Saucy Nancy, the women's team. But when Bob came back to to Mama Bird 2019, he's had. I'll sing his praises too. I consider him my mentor, even though I've been coaching for a lot longer than the years that I've coached with him. I think he's just provides so much wisdom. He's kind of a goofy guy. Joe, did you ever play on the men's U24 team, or were you mixed?
Australia year.
Yeah, when I was the baby. I was 19. Yeah, Bob was
So
my
you
coach.
got a little bit of time with Bob. Not enough
Yeah,
though.
funky
Everybody,
guy.
everybody needs
I
more
like Bob.
time with Bob.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like, and the longer you get to know Bob, the more you realize how good he is. Actually, the national team experience, I'm sure, is amazing, but you really need more time with Bob to truly appreciate. He seriously strategizes everything. When we were like parking at Starbucks, he's like optimizing the best route to the. You know, he
I mean, he definitely transformed the program.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Pretty cool. Pretty
I've
cool.
got one more too, just because it's kind of a more recent one, so I didn't quite see it as maybe a mentor role, but Nut has helped my game a ton. Just like in the last like year or 2 years, just massive.
Yeah.
He's a really smart guy.
Incredibly. Yeah.
Incredible.
Maybe on the I don't know about
Yeah.
outside of frisbee, but on the frisbee field,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, he's a really smart frisbee player, and I don't know if that
Kidding.
translates. Sometimes I think
Well,
I lose sight of
Kins,
that.
you're a
Like,
smart
is he
frisbee
really
player, and you're
smart,
definitely
or
not
is he
smart
just...
outside. Same with me, to be honest.
Whatever.
Yeah, Nut is great though.
Great nut for sure.
Cool. Well, I feel like we're at a good 2 hour, 20-minute mark here.
I feel great about where we're at.
Just 2 more hours.
Any closing thoughts here before we say goodbye to our guest of honor?
No, that was fun. Let's make sure we rendezvous in a foreign country sometime.
Get the Joe,
Yeah.
get the
Japan,
the Joe
Tokyo.
Flight jerseys on a printing press.
Right.
Oh, Joe
if anyone
Flight.
has a
Yeah.
No, cleats. If anyone has a Japan connection and a cleat connection, we need to be hit up, and we need to get on
ASAP.
that ASAP. No Rocky.
Of all jerseys that I would ever want, it would be I'm going to play the outro. The Matsuno Buzz Bullets, number 10. Matsuno is my favorite player of all time. That guy is amazing.
Still going. Still cooking.
Well, thank you, Joe, so much for joining us. This was amazing to talk, especially to such a good player. Second generation player too, providing so much insight. Kins,
Kicking off the big guests
Yeah.
that are
Of
outside
course,
the
it's an
region.
honor.
Thanks, Joe. Ton of fun.